Chapter 185. Black had been Millstone Town's guardian during the Pinnacle Class 1 alien insect dimensional rift. It could be said that he had led the people of Millstone Town to resist the insect tide that descended from the Pinnacle Class 1 alien insect dimensional rift by himself during a time of crisis. This was a miracle in itself. It was even more shocking than when Wuxia, sequence number 39 of the Radiance 100, had fought against the surging dimensional lifeforms for 30 minutes. He had fought for precious time for Cold Frost City, and this feat was even more shocking. Wuxia was sequence number 39 of the Radiance 100 and was a household name in the Radiance Federation. It was precisely because of this that what Wuxia had done could only be considered as icing on the cake. It was like a flower bed that was originally filled with all kinds of flowers. Even if you inserted a large number of peonies and made the garden bright and dazzling, it was still a flower bed. In the end, it was still a flower bed, no matter how bright and dazzling it was. However, Black had stood up during the crisis as an ordinary person and was more like a hero that had risen from the ordinary people. Moreover, the silver/fantasy breed healing type Fae that Black had controlled could regrow a severed arm. But just this point alone was shocking to the ears. Even if Lin Yuan had left quietly and did not accept the reward or star web interview afterward. However, this gave Black's identity a layer of mystery. Lin Yuan might not have accepted the interview from Ascending Dragon City or Star Web. However, the Spirit Chi professionals who had fought alongside Lin Yuan in Millstone Town did not know Lin Yuan's true appearance and identity. They also had a rough idea of everything else. Just like the phase that Lin Yuan had used, be it Chimey, Blackie, or Red Thorn. Lin Yuan's Black's fan club and forum had a detailed explanation of his identity. There were even people who were good at drawing in Millstone Town that day who had drawn the images of the phase that Black had used. All the phase that Lin Yuan had called out, such as Chimey and Blackie, were circulating on Star Web. However, Lin Yuan's fantasy breed Jasmine Lily and Red Thorn that had spread out a sea of flowers to resist the sea of insects were more eye-catching. Therefore, when Lin Yuan had summoned Chimey, Wang Shuai had immediately realized it. There were so many people on Star Web, and it was not strange to have the same name. Similarly, it was also possible for Spirit Chi professionals. Even if healing-type Spirit Chi professionals were rare, there would still be at least one out of hundreds of combat-class Spirit Chi professionals. They were both fans of Black, and they were dressed similarly. It was understandable if they did it on purpose. However, no matter how fervent a fan was, in this world where strength was respected, they wouldn't specially contract a Fae that was very similar to their idol just to chase after their idol. Even if there were diehard fans who wanted to do so, they would have to see if their affinity with Faes was the same as their idols. During the battle in Millstone Town, he had summoned Chimey to investigate the dimensional rift situation. Therefore, many people who had fought in Millstone Town knew Chimey's appearance and name. As a fan of Black, Wang Shuai could be considered one of the more fanatical ones. Otherwise, he would not have come to Star Web to climb the Star Tower and specially dressed like Black in the battle at Millstone Town. The azure blue bird that Lin Yuan had summoned was very similar to Black's rumored Fae. It was rumored that Black's flying type Fae was a blue bird that wasn't the size of a fist and had cloud patterns on its wings. Wang Shuai looked at the azure blue bird Fae that Lin Yuan had summoned and realized that it seemed to be more exquisite and handsome than the rumored Chimey. The cloud patterns on its wings seemed to be flickering with stars, which didn't match the rumors. However, the general color, size, and the cloud patterns on its wings were similar. With so many similarities, especially after seeing Lin Yuan's battle results, Wang Shuai was very excited. Although he had only fought 23 duels, he had a 100% win rate. Wang Shuai's eyes suddenly became fervent, and he was so excited that he was like a 300-pound child. Tell me quickly, is your blue bird called Chimey? When Lin Yuan heard this defense-type Spirit Chi professional immediately call out Chimey's name, he couldn't help but feel a little strange. Before Lin Yuan could speak, Chimey chirped twice and flew around to carefully observe Wang Shuai. Its little head couldn't help but turn. Could this person be a fan of the sparrow-voiced lowly goddess? Although Lin Yuan wasn't sure how Wang Shuai knew Chimy's name, it was obvious that his little fan had recognized him. Lin Yuan nodded helplessly. Chimy had already become a fantasy breed and evolved from a streamcloud azure bird to a twilight starbird. Although Chimy's appearance had changed a lot, it didn't change much overall. However, when Chimy used its exclusive skill, Radiant Body, no one would be able to recognize it. Upon seeing Lin Yuan nod, Wang Shuai immediately jumped 3 feet high. Wang Shuai's sudden jump scared the 2 bronze/elite coiled horned goats and bronze/normal thick wool goats that were ready for battle. They fell to the ground in fear. The bronze/elite quality coiled horn goat and bronze/normal quality thick wool goat were so frightened that they lost all their fighting spirit and started bleating at their contestants. Wang Shuai didn't care about the 2 contracted fays that were startled by him. Instead, he shouted in pleasant surprise. I actually saw a living Lord Black. Lin Yuan couldn't help but have a black question mark on his face. Could it be that you saw a dead one before? Then, Lin Yuan heard Wang Shuai suddenly say, Lord Black, people like you should be sold on the star web. Lin Yuan could not keep up with Wang Shuai's thoughts and could not help but ask. Why? Could it be that these fans were crazy to the point of being twisted? Was this what they meant by destroying what they couldn't get? Wang Shuai grinned and said foolishly. Because Lord Black is a treasure. Lin Yuan only had one thought in his mind. What should I do if I'm being flirted with by my fanatical fans? I'm very anxious, waiting online. Lin Yuan did not know what to say and did not reply to Wang Shuai. As a result, this made Wang Shuai worship him even more. Because in Wang Shuai's heart, the Almighty should be cold. At this time, the tower climbing duel continued. The Star Tower's rules forbade both sides from voluntarily admitting defeat. The Star Tower would only determine that one party had lost the ability to fight if one party was dead or severely injured and could no longer fight. This rule of the Star Tower was mainly to nurture the courage and guts of the duelists in the Star Web battles. Death in the Star Tower had no effect on reality. Therefore, they could let loose on the Star Web and hone their combat skills to their heart's content. Under normal circumstances, Lin Yuan would let Chimy release sound thrust to kill the opponent and advance to the next level. However, Lin Yuan could not bear to kill his fanatical fans with a single blow. Therefore, he let Chimy release Scattered Light to attack the 2 bronze/elite coiled horn goats and bronze/normal thick wool goats. Under Chimy's control, Scattered Light could burn the bronze/elite coiled horn goats and bronze/normal thick wool goats into serious injuries. Then, the Star Tower would determine his victory. However, he hadn't expected that after Chimy released the disorderly light, a silver-masked figure would pounce on the disorderly light. Just as the Scattered Light ignited Wang Shuai's black clothes, Wang Shuai lifted his hand and took off his mask before saying seriously, Lord Black, I'm Wang Shuai. You're my hero, and I want to walk the same path as you in the future. In the end, Wang Shuai yelled, Lord Black, I'm Wang Shuai. You're my hero, and I want to walk the same path as you in the future. I'm too lucky to die in Lord Black's hands on the Star Tower. Lord Black blasted me into fireworks. Before Wang Shuai could finish yelling, Chimy's Scattered Light engulfed Wang Shuai. Wang Shuai vanished under the burning of the Scattered Light, and even his ashes were smelted clean. After Wang Shuai was burned into nothingness, Lin Yuan won the Star Tower climb battle. In fact, Wang Shuai's words after taking off his mask had touched Lin Yuan's heart. Lin Yuan had been firm in his heart along the way to walk the path he wanted to take. However, Lin Yuan did not expect that the path he insisted on could affect others invisibly. Water was shaped by objects, and people were determined by their hearts. In Lin Yuan's opinion, people had to have a passionate heart when they were alive. Otherwise, they would be no different from a walking corpse. Radiance emitted light spots from hearts filled with passionate hearts. Faint radiance light spots constantly danced and ignited other hearts filled with passionate hearts. These countless light spots emitted from hearts filled with passionate hearts fused together to form beliefs. Finally, the power contained in these beliefs was enough to light up the dome and bring down a miraculous radiance. At that moment, Lin Yuan's battle record was 24 duels, 24 wins, 0 losses. Highest floor, 24. After the battle, Lin Yuan could not help but ridicule in his heart. How was this blasted into fireworks? Shouldn't he be burned to ashes? Moreover, he had fought 1,557 duels at such a young age. Oh, no, after losing this duel, it should be 1,558 duels. How did Wang Shui fight so many duels? Could Wang Shui be an internet addict? Youngsters nowadays still had to protect their livers. Baiduan read the latest chapter of Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Book House for free. Chapter 186. Lin Yuan matched all the way on Star Web without stopping. He only stopped when the total number of matches reached 50. In the matches before the 50th floor, Chimey would only let out a clear cry and use sound thrust to easily end the battle. After dozens of matches, Lin Yuan realized that most of the bronze phase he was matched with were normal and elite. Lin Yuan had not encountered a single bronze/flawless phase in the first 50 floors. He had only encountered 8 silver phase in the first 50 floors. 5 of them were normal, and 3 of them were elite. Lin Yuan felt that his concept of the Radiance Federation's Spirit Chi Professionals phase quality had changed a little compared to before. As Lin Yuan enhanced and upgraded bronze and silver phase quality, it was rather easy for him. Therefore, Lin Yuan had unknowingly treated it as a very simple matter to upgrade bronze and silver phase quality. In fact, most of the Class 2 creation masters in the Radiance Federation could upgrade bronze phase quality to elite. However, it was very difficult to upgrade bronze phase quality to flawless. As for upgrading bronze phase quality from flawless to epic, it would require at least a class for creation master. For ordinary creation masters, the higher the grade of the phase, the easier it would be to upgrade the phase quality. Ordinary creation masters would use various spiritual ingredients to concoct spirit liquids with medicinal properties to stimulate the phase potential. The higher the phase grade, the stronger the body's potential, and the easier it would be to stimulate it. However, Lin Yuan's method of enhancing phase was to instill a large amount of pure spirit chi into the phase body to optimize the phase genetic model and enhance the low-grade phase constitution. Therefore, for the Radiance Federation's other creation masters, it would be easier to upgrade the phase quality. However, Lin Yuan was the opposite. The lower the phase grade, the easier it would be for him to upgrade it. Due to this reason, Lin Yuan's thoughts had gradually changed. However, after climbing the Star Tower today, Lin Yuan had unknowingly returned his thoughts to the Radiance Federation's normal standard. Based on the combat class Spirit Chi professionals that he had queued up in the Star Tower, bronze and silver phase of normal and elite quality were the normal equipment for Spirit Chi professionals. Lin Yuan could not help but feel a little ashamed. Even though he had lived 2 lives, he could not help but make a common mistake. That was to always look at things subjectively with one's own eyes. If one's horizons were too high, it was inevitable that the things they saw would be biased. Lin Yuan could not help but nod in satisfaction as he looked at his 50 duels and 100% win rate. He then logged off the Star Web. However, Lin Yuan didn't know how much of a disturbance he had caused after climbing the Star Tower and engaging in a battle. First of all, Black's fan club and post forum had exploded. After Wang Shui had met Lin Yuan on Star Web, he had downloaded the recording of his duel in the Star Tower. Then, he posted it on Tieba and his fan group. Lin Yuan's Black's fan club and forum had a lot of people. However, apart from the people who had really fought alongside Lin Yuan in Millstone Town, these people had become fans. When those who had become Black's fans heard about Black's deeds and the silver fantasy breed Fae that was said to be able to regrow severed limbs, they felt that Black lacked a trace of reality while feeling admiration in their hearts. This was because Black had never shown up. This made these fans feel that they didn't have a backbone. However, it was different now. Black had really appeared on Star Web and even participated in the Star Tower climb. Wang Shuai had originally joined Black's official fan club, and the owner of this fan club was the healing-type spirit chi professional with the bronze-spitting turtledove, Lu Lang. Lu Lang's star web name was Zuan, and many people called him Zuan Maniac. On Tieba and in the fan club, as long as Lu Lang found excessive criticism, he would use violence to curb violence. Wherever he went, as long as there was a keyboard, there would be no traces of people. After Wang Shuai posted the video, Lu Lang immediately recognized that Wang Shuai was fighting against Black. Lu Lang felt that Lin Yuan's aura during the battle in Millstone Town would always be deeply engraved in his mind. Wang Shuai's video made him quite famous in the fan club, so Lu Lang promoted Wang Shuai to the official fan club's administrator. Soon, the news of Black climbing the Star Tower spread from Wang Shuai's mouth through Tieba and the fan club. However, at the same time, there was a sudden change in the Star Tower streak list. A name that had never appeared on the streak list before appeared at the top of the streak list. The first place on the streak list was Black. He had won 50 matches in a row and was 11 matches ahead of the second place. The streak list was just a small list that didn't receive much attention among the Star Tower's many lists. However, someone had appeared at the top, and his name was very special. It was the young hero who had recently obtained a silver fantasy breed Fae in the Radiance Federation. At first, many people only thought that it was the same name, but after Black's Tieba and the fan club's Lu Lang verified it, Black's identity was immediately confirmed. Of course, there were doubts, but those doubters were concerned about their parents. Therefore, very few people dared to openly doubt Black's Tieba and the fan club. Otherwise, if they doubted it and Madman Zuan punched them, how could their parents survive? Soon, Lin Yuan's Black's battle results were pulled out. A 100% win rate of 50 consecutive victories was astonishing, and the Star Web's matchmaking was absolutely fair. Within a night, Lin Yuan's Black's identity received endless attention, but Lin Yuan, who had logged off the Star Web, didn't know anything. During these few days, apart from climbing the Star Tower, Lin Yuan had spent most of his time enhancing batches of usnias. Lin Yuan had enhanced these usnias, which couldn't even reach normal, to silver in the Spirit Lock spatial zone. He had also enhanced each pot of silver usnias to elite. Every time he enhanced a pot of usnias to silver, Lin Yuan could faintly feel the spirit chi in his body had a slight increase. However, these slight increases weren't obvious enough. Lin Yuan had been climbing the Star Tower every day when he had nothing to do. As of now, Lin Yuan had climbed to the 74th floor of the Star Tower. Lin Yuan didn't know if it was because of his good luck, but he only encountered a gold Fae on the 74th floor. However, when Lin Yuan looked at this gold Fae, he couldn't help but click his tongue. This gold Fae seemed rather powerful. Baiduan read the latest chapter of Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Book House for free. Chapter 187. Lin Yuan had just been matched with an opponent on the 74th floor. He saw his opponent summon 2 tiger species Faes. One was a gold Fae based on its aura, while the other was a silver X Fae that was about to break through to gold. Lin Yuan did not pay much attention to this silver X/elite steel-toothed tiger. However, the purple plasma condensed on the other gold tiger species Fae's surface was full of a destructive aura. Lin Yuan used Morbius True Data to check on this gold tiger species Fae with plasma on its body surface. Fae name, Gold Lightning Tiger, Fae species, Toothed Cat/Tiger, Fae grade, Gold, 4/10, Fae type, Electric, Fae quality, flawless abilities Frowny Face Claw attack, quickly pounce forward and use both claws to cause lacerating damage. Electric Arc Twining, can condense electric arcs on a certain part of the body for defense or attack. Thunder Tooth Slash, condenses electric arcs to form thunder teeth and causes high-pressure single-target damage. Electric Roar Magnetic Shock, condenses a large amount of electric elements in the air through the tiger's roar and changes its own magnetic field to repel a large number of electric arcs in the surroundings, causing electric shock and tremor damage. Exclusive skill Frowny Face Overloaded Electric Arc, reaches an overloaded mode by condensing electric arcs. The violent overloaded electric arcs will cause a second explosion when coming into contact with bioelectricity. This gold tiger species Fey made Lin Yuan frown secretly. The abilities comprehended by this gold tiger species Fey were not considered strong. The thunder tooth slash that it comprehended at gold was considered one of the weaker abilities that the gold lightning tiger could comprehend. The thunder tooth slash was just a single target ability without any highlights. However, this gold lightning tiger's exclusive skill was simply too outstanding. The overloaded electric arc gave the mediocre thunder tooth slash a second chance to cause damage. It even doubled the electric roar magnetic shock's damage. Lin Yuan also summoned Chimey and Red Thorn. After Chimey was summoned, it sensed the Silver X/Elite Steel-Toothed Tiger and the Gold 4/Flawless Gold Lightning Tiger opposite Lin Yuan, and a strong battle intent rose. In the past few days, Lin Yuan had been letting Chimey fight in the Star Tower battles. Although there wasn't any suspense in the previous duel, it also allowed Chimey to cultivate a fighting aura. As for Red Thorn, it was his first time summoning it in a Star Web duel. After Lin Yuan summoned Red Thorn, it stabbed its thick roots into the ground and extended its sharp vines to protect Lin Yuan's body. The vine that Red Thorn had evolved without any thorns was obediently and lovingly wrapped around Lin Yuan's wrist. After Lin Yuan's opponent summoned his Fey, he muttered something to himself in the air. "Brothers, let me tell you something. I met another guy wearing a silver mask in this battle. In the past 2 months, including this one, he's the 10th person wearing a silver mask that I've killed." Lin Yuan raised his brows. This young man is quite arrogant. Lin Yuan already knew what the person he had been matched with was. This person should be a streamer. Lin Yuan had also encountered a fool who was talking to himself in midair on the 60th floor. At first, Lin Yuan had thought it was a mental patient. However, Lin Yuan found that the fool had been talking about the situation in front of him. He had clearly not fought, but he had already evaluated Chimey, which Lin Yuan had summoned. He was talking about all kinds of theories, just like a great teacher. He was very much like an all-mouthy king who gave pointers. As a result, when they really fought, Chimey used its gold solar rays and scattered light, which was mixed with the scattered light sound thrust and sent him to heaven. Later, when Lin Yuan talked about this at the dining table, Lu Jia explained it to him. Only then did Lin Yuan know that the person he had always thought was a mental patient was actually a Star Web streamer. The man in front of Lin Yuan was exactly the same as the fool on the 60th floor. It seemed like he was also a streamer. At that moment, Lin Yuan's opponent was leaning on the Gold 4/Flawless Gold Lightning Tiger, making hearts in midair and blowing kisses. Lin Yuan could not help but feel a chill. The man opposite him was simply too feminine. This kind of femininity was different from the gentleness of a woman. It was a little like a chicken that had fallen into a noodle jar. When Lin Yuan heard Lu Jia mention it, he also knew that it was not easy to be a streamer for a Star Web duel. If one wanted to be a Star Web streamer, one had to first become a streamer. The Star Web duel streamers' review was very strict, unlike those singing and talent streamers who could live stream with a click. After the review, one's battle scene would be recorded from a third-person perspective and broadcasted in one's live streaming room. The audience in the live streaming room could send bullet comments and discuss the duel. However, the streamer in the duel could not see it. Only after the duel was over and they exited the Star Web duel and returned to the live streaming room could they see the bullet comments sent by the audience. Just like the feminine-looking man leaning on the gold lightning tiger. At that moment, the feminine-looking man suddenly stood up, looked at the air, and frequently released electric sparks. He then started to dance and sing a rap. The feminine-looking man had already imagined the bullet comments in his live streaming room to be like, handsome, 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 and protect the best streamer. As the feminine-looking man thought about it, he smiled even more brilliantly and danced even more vigorously. The rap he sang also began to change from single to double. However, the feminine-looking man did not know that his live streaming room had exploded when Lin Yuan summoned Chimey. When Lin Yuan summoned Red Thorn, the bullet comments in the live streaming room completely blocked the feminine-looking man, who was singing and dancing. Lin Yuan felt that everything in front of him was simply blinding. In fact, when both sides summoned their fays, the duel had already begun. Lin Yuan's previous plan was not to use the acid corrosion queen bee and only use this gold 4/flawless gold lightning tiger to hone Chaime's combat skills. He wanted to see if Chaime could fight the gold 4/flawless gold lightning tiger with the strength of a silver eye/fantasy breed with Red Thorn's assistance. But now, Lin Yuan looked at the feminine-looking man who had no fighting spirit and felt that it was obviously not a good opportunity to hone Chaime's combat skills. At that moment, the feminine-looking man had stopped singing and dancing, but he was still rapping. Yo! Yo! Check it out! I finally fell from the 90th to the 74th floor. It was really not easy. Now, I'll let you experience the journey of crushing noobs at light speed. Lin Yuan really could not listen anymore and said, Red Thorn, spread out the sea of flowers. Lin Yuan could not listen anymore and said, Red Thorn, spread out the sea of flowers. As soon as Lin Yuan's voice fell, Red Thorn's spore cavity shook. Red Thorn actually did not spray out many spores, but these spores still spread out a thin layer on the star web dual field. Then, Red Thorn sprouted these spores into child ramets, and a large number of child ramets grew out, changing the dual environment. The vines in the sea of flowers were sharp, and the rose-shaped flowers on the digestive cavity bloomed abnormally gorgeous. The gold 4/flawless gold lightning tiger and the silver X/elite steel tooth tiger felt that this sea of flowers that suddenly appeared was very novel. They wantonly trampled on the newly grown Red Thorn's child ramets in the sea of flowers, obviously having fun. Lin Yuan looked at the feminine-looking man, who was still talking nonsense in the air, and the two tiger species fays that had no fighting spirit at all. He could not help but shake his head. As a combat class spirit chi professional, even if he did not go all out, he should still face any duel seriously. However, this feminine man's mind had already been corrupted by something else. Since the other party had no intention to fight, Lin Yuan wanted to end this battle as soon as possible. Then, he would be matched with an opponent to hone Chaime's combat skills. Lin Yuan said softly. Acid corrosion queen bee, let's end the battle. At this time, the feminine-looking man was still speaking to the sky. The other side is quite considerate. They actually put on a show. Are they praising my beauty in this trashy sea of flowers? At that moment, the comments in the effeminate man's live streaming room weren't as crazy as when Lin Yuan had summoned Red Thorn. Although there were still a lot of comments, it was less than before. At the very least, he could clearly see the fight between the feminine-looking man. Then, the viewers from the live stream narrowed their eyes. This was because the heads of the two tiger species fays had been pierced by something, causing beautiful blood to blossom. Accompanied by two mournful tiger roars, these two handfuls of blood blossomed in this sea of flowers. This strange and beautiful scene caused the viewers in the effeminate man's live streaming room to have goosebumps, and they could not help but curse. Baidu read the latest chapter of the Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Bookhouse for free as soon as possible. Chapter 188. If the effeminate man saw the bullet comments in his live streaming room at this moment, he would realize that, the moment the two blood flowers bloomed, the bullet comments suddenly disappeared for a few seconds. Then, the screen was instantly covered by the rolling bullet screen, turning it white. These bullet comments could no longer tell what they were. However, if the effeminate man opened the backstage to look at these bullet comments, he would find that although it was his live streaming room, none of the bullet comments mentioned him. These two blooming flowers of blood only bloomed for an instant. As soon as the warmth in the blood dissipated, it withered among the rose-shaped flowers and thorny vines, disappearing without a trace. The extremely beautiful bright red only existed for a short moment, but these two blood flowers brought the most soul-stirring visual impact to the effeminate man and the audience in his live streaming room. The two blood flowers that withered in the blink of an eye announced Lin Yuan's victory in climbing the 74th floor of the Star Tower. After his victory, Lin Yuan continued to fight. Up to the 80th floor, the strongest person Lin Yuan had encountered was still the effeminate man who had been flirting and had no fighting spirit on the 74th floor. After that, he encountered a combat class spirit chi professional with a gold 3/elite cold water snapping tortoise that could be considered strong. However, the blue flash purple butterfly's silent scale powder restrained the cold water snapping turtle quite a bit in the battle. The silent scale powder released by the blue flash purple butterfly fell on the gold 3/elite cold water snapping turtle, directly isolating its ability to mobilize water elements. Controlling the gold 3/elite cold water snapping turtle's ability to use water elemental abilities was equivalent to crippling the gold 3/elite cold water snapping turtle's attack methods. This gold 3/elite cold water snapping turtle was taking the evolutionary route of spiritual mutation. Its ability attack method was to use water elements to cause damage. If an ordinary bronze X/legend blue flash purple butterfly released silent scale powder, it would never cause such a strong silence effect on the cold water snapping turtle under normal circumstances. However, the scale powder Lin Yuan used was the blue flash purple butterfly's scale powder with strong adhesion. This caused the gold 3/elite cold water snapping turtle to become very passive. The combat class spirit chi professional who was fighting Lin Yuan only had this gold 3/elite cold water snapping turtle. Clearly, all the resources were invested in this gold 3/elite cold water snapping turtle. Otherwise, if he could have another fae, he could also let other fays release some means to help the cold water snapping turtle remove the silent scale powder. He would not have to passively take a beating like now. Apart from the shell, the cold water snapping turtle's body was covered with a layer of mucus. It was this layer of mucus that allowed the silent scale powder to adhere firmly to the cold water snapping turtle's body. Although the blue flash purple butterfly's level was lower than the cold water snapping turtle's, in terms of skills and biological characteristics, the blue flash purple butterfly was a natural counter to the cold water snapping turtle. He did not use the acid corrosion queen bee or red thorn in this battle. He used Chimey and the blue flash purple butterfly to end the battle. The scattered light released by Chimey landed on the gold 3/elite cold water snapping turtle's body. The burning ability of the strong light caused the wet surface of the cold water snapping turtle's body to quickly dry and crack. Then, the dry and cracked skin was burned to form a layer of blisters. The blisters burst, and the liquid that flowed out firmly absorbed the silent scale powder. This left the cold water snapping turtle with no room to resist. At that moment, Chimey released its gold skill, solar rays, which brought multiple negative effects to the weakened cold water snapping turtle. Lin Yuan found that the exclusive skill, blue flash purple butterfly's scale powder halo, could be used with Chimey's solar rays. The reflective scale powder could reflect the light of solar rays. At a certain level, the light would produce a strong dazzling effect. The gold 3/elite cold water snapping turtle's eyes were temporarily blinded. Finally, Chimey let out a soft cry, and 3 sound thrusts penetrated the cold water snapping turtle's mouth, which was struggling and roaring in intense pain. The 3 sound thrusts hit the cold water snapping turtle's upper jaw, which was opening its mouth. Because the 3 sound thrusts hit the same point on the cold water snapping turtle's upper jaw, one after the other. Even though the cold water snapping turtle's jaw was hard, a small hole was still blasted through. The tremors that occurred when the high-frequency sound thrusts penetrated the jaw directly destroyed the brain tissue. In this battle, Lin Yuan found that after Chimey became a silver/fantasy breed, its sound thrust's destructive power had become extremely strong. Lin Yuan still remembered that when Chimey was at normal, its sound thrusts could only leave very shallow marks on thin wooden boards. But now, Chimey's sound thrusts were enough to cause fatal damage to gold phase. Of course, this kind of damage needed to be attacked on the opponent's weakness, and it had to be in a situation where the opponent was undefended. As a gold turtle species fae, the cold water snapping turtle's defense was extremely strong. However, this powerful defense was based on the premise that it could control the water elements. The majestic water elements would form a layer of high-speed flowing water on the cold water snapping turtle's surface. This layer of high-speed flowing water was the Gold 3/Elite Coldwater Snapping Turtle's strongest defensive means. However, after Lin Yuan's blue flash purple butterfly's silent scale powder had taken the initiative, the Coldwater Snapping Turtle had become a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. Under the premise that the Spirit Chi professional did not have a second Fey to help the Coldwater Snapping Turtle, the Coldwater Snapping Turtle became a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. After Lin Yuan won the Star Tower's 80th floor, he felt a little tired, so he left Star Web. After he left Star Web, he went to enhance pots of usnias to silver to slowly increase the spiritual power content in his body. Lin Yuan did not know that the scene that the feminine-looking man had seen on the Star Tower's livestream today. In addition, Lin Yuan's battle record as Black was still constantly refreshing the Star Tower's winning streak list. Today, he had broken the winning streak record on the winning streak list again and again, reaching 80 consecutive wins. All of this caused an uproar on Star Web. Many mainstream media outlets on the Star Web had even started to publish articles to report on this matter. In a conference room that was decorated very simply and skillfully, but the layout was quite extraordinary. A capable man was frowning and flipping through a stack of information. At that moment, there was a sudden knock on the door. The capable man put down the information in his hand and said, "Come in." A youth with a bowl cut opened the door and peeked his head out. His head looked inside and flashed in. He pulled out a chair and sat down. He looked inside, then walked in a flash, pulled out a chair, sat down, and said. The capable man who had just flipped through the information could not help but say playfully, "Chief, is our team still lacking a healing-type Spirit Chi professional?" When the capable man who was flipping through the information heard this, he couldn't help but say playfully. "You're usually the one who doesn't have anything to do. Do you even have a candidate to recommend? The S tournament is about to start. Hurry up and train. I'll make an appointment with a creation master for you tomorrow to improve your fourth phase quality." When the watermelon-haired youth heard this, he immediately shouted with joy. "Long live boss." After the watermelon-haired youth was happy, he coughed with some doubt. "Boss, when the S tournament begins, our Dragon Gate Guild Club is an A-ranked guild club. We don't have to fight in the elimination round. We can just fight in the group stage. Don't we still have 3 months to prepare?" As soon as the young man with the bowl-shaped hair finished speaking, he realized that what he said was wrong. He secretly glanced at the capable man sitting there. He found that the capable man who was sitting there had begun to take out his pen again, drawing crosses on the stack of documents one after another. The watermelon-haired youth stepped forward and said, "Boss, I really found a very powerful healing-type Spirit Chi professional." After the young man with a bowl-cut hair finished speaking, he found that the man sitting there raised his head and asked, "Who is it? Bring me the documents." The young man with a bowl cut scratched his head. "I didn't prepare any information, but if you want to look at it, it should be available on the Star Web." The capable man sitting there knew that this bowl-cut youth wouldn't prepare the information. Hearing that it was the Star Web, the capable man took out his Star Web card and was about to log into the Star Web. "How many stars on the celestial stairway?" The youth blinked his eyes and said, "It's not the stairway to heaven, it's the 80th floor." When the capable man heard that, he immediately put down the Star Web card in his hand and started to chase him away with a bad mood. "Fong Duo, hurry up and get out for training. You also know that our Dragon Gate Guild Club is an A-ranked guild club. Looking for someone at the 80th floor of the Star Tower. Do you want to fight 4 against 6 in the team competition and send us to the B-ranked guild club position?" Fong Duo felt a little wronged. That healing-type Spirit Chi professional at the 80th floor is very popular on the Star Web. It's the 80th consecutive. Before Fong Duo could finish speaking, he was chased out by the capable man. "Consecutive what? Hurry up and go to training." Fong Duo felt very wronged after being chased out and mumbled, "I was kind enough to help you, but Long Tao, you actually think that I'm troublesome? Then go look for it yourself." After saying that, Fong Duo hummed a song and walked toward the training room. Baiduan read the latest chapter of Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Bookhouse for free. Chapter 189. Lin Yuan was currently enhancing a plant fei that he had plucked from the wild. This plant fei looked like a weed that didn't have any special characteristics. 3 slender leaves grew straight out. The leaves were slightly thick. Although this weed didn't look special, it seemed to have a different kind of tough temperament. As Lin Yuan kept pouring in spirit qi, this weed that didn't look special at first was constantly changing. After a few hours, the weed's leaves became longer and drooped down, giving off a special texture. A stalk grew out of the leaves, and a bunch of white flowers bloomed on it. Once the flowers bloomed, they immediately emitted a quiet fragrance that refreshed the mind. The room also instantly became cool. This lush flower fragrance didn't have a trace of sweetness, but it was a kind of elegant fragrance instead. When one looked at this orchid, one's heart seemed to calm down. The restrained fragrance wasn't ostentatious at all, but it was exceptionally deep, as though there was a kind of integrity in the fragrance. Lin Yuan stopped circulating his spiritual power and looked at this bronze/epic white jade snow orchid in front of him. He couldn't help but nod in satisfaction. The fei that Lin Yuanya had picked had looked like a weed at first, but it was actually an orchid. At first, Lin Yuan only felt that the orchid was considered a rather rare fei, so he had plucked it. However, he didn't expect this orchid to actually evolve into a white jade snow orchid after being nurtured. All the orchids in the world looked the same before they bloomed. Only when the orchid bloomed could one specifically distinguish the orchid's value. Plum, orchid, bamboo, and chrysanthemum had always been the 4 most elegant plants. Although this white jade snow orchid that Lin Yuan had nurtured was not the best orchid, it was already considered an exquisite product. Others couldn't even ask for it. Lin Yuan stretched his back and was preparing to carefully observe this bronze/epic white jade snow orchid. He heard 2 soft knocks on the door, and Wen Yu's voice came from outside. "Young master, lunch is ready. It's time to eat." Lin Yuan carried this pot of white jade snow orchid that had just been nurtured and walked out of his room. When Wen Yu saw Lin Yuan come out, she was stunned for a moment. It was said that a gentleman was like an orchid, but when Lin Yuan held this orchid, Wen Yu suddenly had a feeling that an orchid was not as good as a gentleman. Perhaps it was because the young man's temperament was too superior. He actually completely suppressed the temperament of a bunch of orchids. However, when she took a closer look at the pot of orchids in his hands, she was shocked. Wen Yu was also a creation master, so she recognized at a glance that the orchid in Lin Yuan's hand was a white jade snow orchid that had reached epic quality. Of course, this wasn't what shocked Wen Yu the most, as she had seen many orchid feis and epic feis. However, bronze/epic feis were extremely rare. Especially since this bronze/epic fei was an orchid plant type fei. Just like in the Radiant Moon Palace, the reward for the first place spirit attendant was only a bronze/epic fei. Wen Yu did not think much about this bronze/epic white jade snow orchid, as she had never thought that Lin Yuan had nurtured it. Instead, he felt that the Moon Empress might have given it to Lin Yuan. As Wen Yu was thinking about this, she suddenly heard Lin Yuan's voice. "Come back to your senses." Wen Yu came back to her senses and realized that Lin Yuan was looking at her. "Young master, today's lunch was prepared by Brother Lu. Let me help you carry this white jade snow orchid." Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan handed the white jade snow orchid in his hand to Wen Yu. Brother Lu's cooking talent is definitely maxed out. When Lu Jie had said that he could cook, he had been skeptical. Lin Yuan looked at Lu Jie's honest face and really did not think that Lu Jie looked like someone who could cook. However, after Lu Jie cooked a meal, he conquered their stomachs. Lu Jie's delicacies had turned Lin Yuan and Wen Yu into 2 foodies, and they waited for Lu Jie to cook for them every day. It was not that they could not cook, but Lu Jie's cooking was just too delicious. Even if he had eaten the Spirit Food Pavilion's chef's cooking, it was not as delicious as Lu Jie's. Wen Yu carefully took the white jade snow orchid from Lin Yuan and asked, "Young master, where should I put this white jade snow orchid?" Lin Yuan asked. Didn't Big Brother Lu say that spiritual ingredients won't be fresh even if they are put in the refrigerator the next day? Put this white jade snow orchid next to the spiritual ingredients in the kitchen, and Big Brother Lu's problem will be solved. Wen Yu was listening carefully, but when she heard Lin Yuan say that he was going to send this bronze/epic white jade snow orchid to the kitchen to keep the ingredients fresh, Wen Yu opened her mouth wide. Her small cherry mouth opened like a hippopotamus's bloody mouth, and one could even stuff a pineapple in it. Fortunately, Wen Yu's hand was steady. Otherwise, this bronze/epic white jade snow orchid would have fallen to the ground. Although the white jade snow orchid was not considered one of the best among orchid fays, it could be considered a high-grade one. The white jade snow orchid was a support-type fay. When placed indoors, due to the white jade snow orchid's attributes, it could lower the indoor temperature and achieve a comfortable but not too cold state. Moreover, the white jade snow orchid's fragrance could promote the growth of plants. The white jade snow orchid was rather useful even for creation masters. If a creation master could form a contract with the white jade snow orchid, it would be able to play a supporting role when nurturing plant-type fays. It was unheard of for such a good thing to be placed in the kitchen and use the fragrance and cooling effects of the white jade snow orchid to preserve the freshness of the spirit ingredients. It was a low-key luxury. Lin Yuan looked at Wen Yu with her mouth wide open and could not help but say, "If you're hungry, I'll go see if there's anything I can do to help Brother Lu. We can eat quickly." After saying that, he walked toward the kitchen. At this moment, Wen Yu could not help but complain in her heart that her young master was really a straight man. Before Lin Yuan could reach the kitchen, Lu Jia had already come out with the dishes. The three of them ordered 4 dishes: kung pao chicken, sweet and sour pork tenderloin, sweet and sour fish, and cumin pork slices. These 4 dishes were all meat dishes. Over the past few days, he had figured out what Lin Yuan and Wen Yu liked to eat. Coincidentally, their tastes were similar, and they were all pure carnivores. After Lu Jia placed the dishes on the table, he saw Wen Yu slowly walking out of the kitchen. "Young master, Brother Lu, from now on, the kitchen will be the most fragrant place in the house." Lu Jia didn't understand what was going on and thought that she was praising him. However, Lin Yuan couldn't help but raise his brows. Although the white jade snow orchid's aroma was fragrant, Lin Yuan still preferred the aroma of agarwood. Although the scent of the white jade snow orchid was light, it was still not as serene as the agarwood. The smell of the white jade snow orchid would leave traces on the clothes, but the smell of the agarwood would only refresh the mind and calm the mind. It would only stain one's sleeves. After the meal, Wen Yu and Lin Yuan praised Lu Jia to the skies. Lu Jia's determined and honest face could not help but smile foolishly. Lu Jia thought to himself, "When I was in the same team as Biyao and Wang Fan, they ate their own cooking all day. Why didn't they praise me once? 2 ingrates." Baidu read the latest chapter of Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Book House for free. Chapter 190. Lu Jia's contracted source-type life form, the Insect Queen, had long recovered from its critical condition and successfully evolved into a fantasy breed. Lu Jia had gone to find Biyao and Wang Fan not long ago. Lu Jia's purpose for looking for Biyao and Wang Fan was very simple. Lu Jia had been disheartened and had fallen from a prodigy to a mortal world. Naturally, he had not thought of contacting his former friends again. He felt that even if he did, he would only be causing trouble for his friends. At that time, Lu Jia had become a cripple, and the source-type life form, the Insect Queen, was his only fae and his only reliance. When the Insect Queen had been crippled, Lu Jia had made up his mind to cut off his past and become an ordinary person. However, everything was fine now. When he thought of how Biyao and Wang Fan had been searching for him for 2 years, Lu Jia felt touched and apologetic. Lu Jia felt both touched and apologetic. The last time he had met Biyao's words had made him very angry. However, Lu Jia would not take it to heart. Lu Jia knew Biyao very well. He had a sharp tongue but a soft heart. Because of their mutual understanding, the three of them had become members of the Radiance 100 sequence and formed a three-member team when they went out to do missions. Men's friendship was actually like that, sincere and simple. After eating a meal and drinking a few glasses of wine, Biyao and Wang Fan had resolved the knot in their hearts. Instead, they were concerned about Lu Jie's encounter in the past few years and were worried. To Lu Jie, not only had his strength returned, but it had also been strengthened. His former friends had reconciled, and he had the faith of the youth in front of him. People were really in high spirits when encountering happy events. Lu Jie, who had always been in the clouds, did not feel that life was very good. However, after falling into the dust, Lu Jie's perception of life had changed. Now, Lu Jie felt that every moment he spent with people close to him was happiness. However, what made Lu Jie a little dumbfounded was Wang Fan's message in the group. Only then did Lu Jie know that Biyao had pooled his money and Wang Fan's money together. He wanted to see if he could heal his insect queen's injuries. However, when he found out that his insect queen's injuries had healed, he didn't know what to do. Biyao gave Wang Fan's share of the money and tipped all his money to a star web live streamer called Sparrow Voice Lowly Goddess. After spending tens of millions of Radiance dollars, Biyao, who had been ranked second on the monthly rankings for 2 years, soared. Not only did he snatch back the first place, but he also left the second place far behind. However, what made Biyao feel a little stifled was that no matter how hard he tried to suck up to the Sparrow Voice Lowly Goddess, he did not receive a single word of thanks from her. At that moment, Biyao sent a message in the group chat. Sparrow Voice Lowly Goddess's little fanboy, Lu Jie, Wang Fan, come out and join me on a mission to earn money. Wang Fan, since when do you want to do quests so much? You usually don't even go when I ask you to do missions. Sparrow Voice Lowly Goddess's little fanboy, I don't have money to buy gifts for Sparrow Voice Lowly Goddess. I plan to give 99.9% of all the money I earn from missions to Sparrow Voice Lowly Goddess. I only eat 2 steamed buns every day. Wang Fan was confused. Sparrow Voice Lowly Goddess's little fanboy, are you guys going or not? If you don't want to go, I'll go myself. Lu Jie, no. Wang Fan, no. Sparrow Voice Lowly Goddess's little fanboy, you single dogs will never understand the bliss of idol chasing. An honest man like Lu Jie couldn't help but reveal a pretty boy's puzzled expression. Biyao seemed to be saying that he wasn't single. Looking at Bihao's attitude, it seemed like he wanted to have an online romance. After putting down the phone, Lu Jie suddenly thought of something and said to Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan, a few king-class experts in the royal capital have recently jointly organized a private auction. Are you interested? Lin Yuan pondered for a moment before replying. Did these king-class experts reveal what they were auctioning in advance? To Lin Yuan, going to ordinary auctions was purely for the fun. It was not that he could not afford them, but most of them were useless to him. If he wanted to enhance phase from epic to legend, he would need some rare spiritual ingredients. In other situations, Lin Yuan didn't need spiritual ingredients to enhance phase. As for high-quality phase, he just needed to spend some time to enhance whatever he wanted. Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, Lu Jie replied, that's right. It is said that source-type lifeforms will appear in this auction. Lin Yuan could not help but ask. Source-type lifeforms? Lin Yuan didn't expect that someone would actually auction source-type lifeforms. If it was a source-type lifeform, Lin Yuan couldn't help but be a little interested. Source-type lifeforms had all sorts of strange contracts, and they didn't necessarily have to use spiritual energy. Each source-type lifeform had different abilities, but they wouldn't be too bad if used properly. Therefore, if he could encounter a suitable source-type lifeform, Lin Yuan wouldn't mind buying it to nurture it. Take the acid corrosion queen bee, for example. The appearance of the acid corrosion queen bee had greatly enhanced Lin Yuan's combat ability. It could even be said that the acid corrosion queen bee was currently Lin Yuan's strongest offensive means. Without the acid corrosion queen bee, given Lin Yuan's current standard, he really wasn't confident that he could win the promotion duel and ascend the celestial stairway. Even Chimy's exclusive skill, Radiant Body, could surpass the acid corrosion Queen Bee's strength in an instant. However, Chimy's exclusive skill, Radiant Body, could only burst out for a moment. If it encountered a gold defense-type Fae and was pinned down, Chimy would exhaust its energy. Then, Lin Yuan would likely be the one to lose the duel. Therefore, if he encountered a suitable source-type life form, he would definitely think of a way to buy it. Moreover, he did not lack resources to nurture Faes or source-type life forms. He didn't have to worry about resource issues like other spirit chi professionals and only focus his resources on one Fae. That King-class expert squad is very famous in the Guild Alliance. It is said that they have destroyed several dimensional rifts. There should be at least one source-type item being auctioned in this auction, but I don't think there will be more than 2. Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan replied. What are the entry requirements for this private auction? When Lu Jia heard that Lin Yuan had the intention to go, he said, "You're right. Leave the admission qualifications to me. I'll get 3 admission tickets when the time comes." Lin Yuan nodded. "Then I'll have to trouble Brother Lu." Wen Yu was also very happy. She rarely had the chance to go down the mountain in the Radiant Moon Palace. Now that there was such excitement, Wen Yu naturally wanted to go. What made Wen Yu rather touched was that she had been addressing Lin Yuan as young master, making it clear that she was a servant. However, Lu Jia had never neglected her. Slowly, Wen Yu began to identify with Lu Jia. After dinner, Wen Yu took on the responsibility of washing the dishes. Lu Jia was just about to freeze some of the spiritual ingredients that he had prepared earlier that were not easy to store. Then, he saw a pot of elegant orchids on the shelf where all kinds of spiritual ingredients were placed. As a member of the Radiance 100 sequence, Lu Jia naturally knew his stuff. After observing for a while, he suddenly exclaimed, "Fuck! This was actually a bronze/epic white jade snow orchid. What's the use of such a good thing in the kitchen?" Wen Yu said calmly while washing the dishes. "Young master gave you this to keep your spiritual ingredients fresh." Sure enough, Wen Yu also saw Lu Jia. Her mouth was wide open, and a dumbfounded expression appeared on her face. Wen Yu imitated what Lin Yuan had said before. "Brother Lu, are you hungry?" Lu Jia snapped out of his daze. He scratched the back of his head and said, "That's right. Didn't I just finish eating? I ate 3 bowls. How can I be hungry?" Wen Yu couldn't help but complain after hearing Lu Jia's words. Fine. Another straight man. Who knew that Lu Jia would say something like that? "Wen Yu, are you still hungry?" Wen Yu lowered her head and asked. "I ate 2 bowls, so of course I'm full." Unexpectedly, as soon as Wen Yu finished speaking, she saw Lu Jia looking at her in surprise. "Wen Yu, aren't you afraid of getting fat after eating 2 bowls of rice?" Wen Yu suddenly felt that Lu Jia was not only a straight man but also a pig trotter. Baidu, read the latest chapter of Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Book House for free. Chapter 191. For the past few days, Lin Yuan had been fighting in the Star Tower. He had already fought from the 80th floor to the 100th floor, and if he continued, he would have to fight in the promotion duel. During the Star Tower's climb from the 80th floor to the 100th floor, every opponent that Lin Yuan encountered had a gold Fae. Starting from the 90th floor of the Star Tower, Lin Yuan had encountered plenty of spirit chi professionals and even 2 gold Faes. However, these gold Faes grades weren't considered high. However, with Lin Yuan using the gold/legend acid corrosion Queen Bee, these battles were not considered difficult to win. Chimy did not even use the exclusive skill, Radiant Body, that it had obtained after becoming a fantasy breed, in the battle from the 80th to the 100th floor. In the battles from the 80th floor to the 100th floor, the highest gold Fae that Lin Yuan had encountered was only a gold 7/flawless Fae. Although the acid corrosion Queen Bee was only a gold I/legend Fae, it was a legend one. In terms of raw strength, the gold I/legend acid corrosion Queen Bee was stronger than a gold 7/flawless Fae. Moreover, the acid corrosion Queen Bee was an assassin hiding in the bushes and carrying out surprise attacks. From the 80th floor to the 100th floor, Lin Yuan also encountered a spirit chi professional who was doing a live broadcast while fighting in the Star Tower. This spirit chi professional was the person who had a gold 7/flawless Fae, so Lin Yuan's acid corrosion Queen Bee had appeared in front of the Star Web netizens for the first time. This also solved how Lin Yuan had instantly killed that feminine man's two Faes. The case of the two blooming blood flowers in the bushes was finally solved. Lin Yuan was now a mess on the Star Web. At the same time, there was a question on the Star Web. Wasn't Black a healing-type spirit chi professional? Why had he never used a healing-type Fae? Instead, he was a combat-class spirit chi professional in a battle? If not for Red Thorn's appearance, it could perfectly prove Black's identity. Otherwise, even if Black's post forum and fan group owner, Lu Lang, publicly confirmed it, many people would still not believe it. It was precisely because Lin Yuan had never used a healing-type Fae and could fly with a combat-class Fae that people had to face a problem. It was Lin Yuan's talent. Spirit chi professionals' talents had always been divided into various grades. Most of the spirit chi professionals' talents were to be compatible with a certain type of Fae, such as the defense-type beetle species Fae. Of course, even if it was just one type of affinity, there was still a difference in strength. For example, a tiger species Fae with an affinity and a sheep species Fae with an affinity and an affinity-type Fae with an affinity and an affinity-type Fae with an affinity could be easily distinguished. A tiger species Fae's combat strength was indeed much stronger than a sheep species Fae of the same grade. This strength is determined by the ecological niche in nature. In the natural world, the tiger would eat the sheep. Of course, the strength of this ecological niche only existed between people of the same level. However, not all tiger species Faes could defeat sheep species Faes of the same grade. There were also some precious Faes among the goat species Faes. For example, the wind-speed rapid antelope that Lin Yuan had nurtured could fly with the wind element and was extremely fast. Therefore, ordinary tiger species Faes might not necessarily be able to defeat the wind-speed rapid antelope. However, if it was an ordinary family with poorer conditions, they might hope that they could have an affinity with a sheep species Fae rather than a tiger species Fae with an affinity with a power offense-type Fae. This was because tiger species Faes were really rare. If one was not born in an aristocratic family, one would not be able to afford to obtain a tiger species Fae. Moreover, the spiritual ingredients needed to evolve a tiger species Fae would be even more precious. Chu Si's talent for having an affinity with defense-type Faes could be considered top-notch in the Radiance Federation. As a defense-type spirit chi professional, Chu Si's choice of defense-type Faes was not limited by her talent and was completely free to choose the Faes she wanted. This way, her contracted Faes could form a perfect combat system that was suitable for her. In a duel between combat-class spirit chi professionals, the Faes' individual strength was one aspect. When fighting against a low-grade opponent, they could use grade to crush them to obtain victory. However, when fighting against an opponent with similar strength and Faes grade and quality, the combination of the Faes were often the key to victory. As for Black, the Faes that he used in battle were too complicated, and there was no discernible pattern. This made people on Star Web involuntarily guess Black's talent. However, no matter how they guessed, there was no fixed answer. In fact, many low-rank scholars and Fae observers even analyzed the Faes that Black had used in battle. They wrote their opinions into articles and posted them. However, after they were posted, these low-rank scholars and Fae observers were criticized by the Star Web netizens. Based on the Faes that Black had used in battle, apart from the defense-type Faes that he had never used, it could be considered that he had used all other Faes. In fact, a large part of the reason why Lin Yuan was being speculated like this was because of Chimey. When Lin Yuan had contracted Chimey, it had just been a sound bird that could not even be considered a Fae, so it naturally did not have a different type. Just like the Usnia, it was also a production-type Fae without a different type. After Lin Yuan had evolved Chimey, Chimey had awakened its combat ability. Black's talent had been debated endlessly, and in the end, a Class 4 scholar had even published an article based on Black's talent. A Class 4 scholar was already considered an influential figure in the Radiance Federation's academic world and belonged to the pinnacle of the academic world. Therefore, this Class 4 scholar's article was considered to have put an end to this speculation before Lin Yuan exposed his talent. The publication of this Class 4 scholar's article might have calmed the storm caused by the speculation, but it also let more people feel the terror of Black's talent. Or rather, he was wealthy. As the Class 4 scholar analyzed the phase that appeared in the live broadcast on Black's Star Web, he finally came to a conclusion. Among Black's phase, they should all be of extremely high quality, and there were even source-type lifeforms. At the same time, it also stated that without the existence of source-type lifeforms, Black's talent was also at the pinnacle of the Radiance Federation. At the end of the article, the Class 4 scholar was even mischievous with the times. He guessed that all the phase that Black used were source-type lifeforms. Of course, everyone treated this statement as a joke. Putting aside how rare source-type lifeforms were, just the harsh contract conditions of source-type lifeforms would cause countless people to be stuck. However, the fact that Black possessed source-type lifeforms was basically the final conclusion of this Class 4 scholar. If Lin Yuan were to continue fighting after reaching the 100th floor of the Star Tower, he would have to fight in the promotion duel. Lin Yuan was already a little tired, so he wasn't in a hurry to fight in the promotion duel. Instead, he opened up his identity card. Name, Black. Gender, male. Height, 178 cm. Weight, 61 kg. Star Tower floor, 100 Spirit Chi. Occupation, healing type. Professional. Occupation. Rank, C rank. Contracted Fey, Morbius, Bronze X/Legend, 1000 Questions. Beast, Bronze I/Legend, Twilight Starbird, Silver I/Fantasy I, Red Thorn, Bronze V/Epic, Acid Corrosion. Queen Bee, Gold I/Legend. Duel record, 100 duels, 100 wins, 0 losses, highest floor, 100. When Lin Yuan saw the 100 duels with a 100% win rate, he recalled how he had climbed from the first floor to the 100th floor of the Star Tower. Lin Yuan could deeply feel that he had obtained something called growth. From the first battle until now, Lin Yuan and his contracted Fey had become more compatible in combat. At the same time, he had a clearer understanding of his Fey's abilities. Lin Yuan had transformed from a combat newbie into a veteran with his own attitude and views on combat. Especially in the grasp of timing and the release of control abilities, Lin Yuan was considered to have become proficient through constant combat. But now, Lin Yuan understood that he still had a lot of growth to do. Lin Yuan knew that from the start of the Celestial Stairways promotion duels, the opponents he would encounter would definitely be much stronger than the opponents he had encountered previously. For example, the Star Tower's tower duels would basically have a small stage every 10 floors, and a large stage every 20 floors. As for the opponents he was matched with during the Celestial Stairways promotion duels, many of them had even fallen from the Celestial Stairway. Those unlucky Celestial 5-star experts might fall back to the promotion duels and have to start all over again. Therefore, Lin Yuan understood that it wouldn't be easy for him to win the next few ranking duels. His winning streak might also come to an end. Lin Yuan wasn't worried about this, as he had never thought that he could reach the Celestial Stairway with 100 consecutive victories. Lin Yuan felt that the Star Web duels were a process of constantly correcting his combat style and honing his combat skills. Therefore, a hearty duel was much more precious than abusing noobs. Lin Yuan actually didn't feel that he had encountered a duel that he could fight to his heart's content. Lin Yuan urgently needed such a duel that he could fight to his heart's content to squeeze out his and his contracted partner's combat potential in desperate situations. Only defeat could let Lin Yuan understand where his shortcomings came from. In fact, after fighting these 100 duels, Lin Yuan also realized that commanding phase was a weakness. In the Star Tower duels, there were 2 ways to win. One was to kill the Spirit Chi professional that was matched with him. The other was to kill all the Spirit Chi professionals' contracted phase. These 2 methods would be considered the end of the duel. Lin Yuan had also encountered danger previously. If Red Thorn hadn't blocked it for him, he would have been ambushed by the opponent's Fae and lost the duel. Of course, even if Red Thorn had blocked the attack for him, his left shoulder blade had still been completely shattered by the aftershock. Such an injury made Lin Yuan understand the importance of a combat-class Spirit Chi professional's self-protection. This gave Lin Yuan an accurate target for the Fae he wanted to contract. Lin Yuan wanted to form a contract with a Fae that could protect him. However, Lin Yuan didn't have an affinity with defense-type Faes. Therefore, Lin Yuan could only choose to be like Xian Ying and awaken an exclusive skill that was the possession characteristic. Otherwise, he could contract a source-type life form that could protect him well. Baiduan read the latest chapter of Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Book House for free. Chapter 192. Lin Yuan pondered for a while and gave up the option of awakening an exclusive skill, possession, like Xian Ying. Awakening an exclusive skill, possession, was the same as awakening an exclusive special-type tool transformation. It was a very rare exclusive skill that could only be encountered. If Lin Yuan enhanced a large number of Faes, it was not impossible to awaken an exclusive skill, possession, at bronze. However, given Lin Yuan's current spiritual energy, he could not contract a bronze Fae. His remaining spiritual energy was not enough to contract a bronze Fae. Therefore, Lin Yuan knew that if he wanted to have the ability to protect himself, he could only choose to contract a source-type life form that could defend himself very well. However, source-type life forms were very precious, not to mention that each source-type life form had different abilities. Therefore, source-type life forms that could increase one's self-protection ability had always been encountered. Even if Lin Yuan encountered one, putting aside whether he could afford the price, it was still unknown whether he could meet the conditions of contracting a source-type life form that could increase one's self-protection ability. Lin Yuan had only decided on the direction now. As for obtaining a source-type life form that could increase one's self-protection ability, he still needed to think about it at length. After Lin Yuan finished the duel on the 100th floor of the Star Tower, he did not log out of Star Web. Instead, he clicked on the message bar that he had never clicked on but kept flashing non-stop. The reason Lin Yuan had never checked the Star Web messages for his identity as Black was that he did not know anyone with this identity. He only knew Zhang Xiaobai, Xian Ying, Lu Pinru, and Tan Ran, and they usually contacted each other through mobile phones instead of on Star Web. Therefore, Lin Yuan did not think that there would be any important messages that he needed to reply to as Black. However, he would look at the message bar from time to time when he logged in as a creation master. Every time he logged in, he felt that the people in the Purchase with No Loss Stores fan club were true warriors. Otherwise, there would not have been nearly 10,000 messages within a day or two. Lin Yuan already felt that nearly 10,000 messages were a lot, but when he clicked on the message bar of his identity as Black, he was dumbfounded. There were simply too many messages. Lin Yuan counted and found that there were actually 6 digits of messages. This was hundreds of thousands of messages. It had been less than 5 days since he logged into the Star Tower and climbed it as Black. Lin Yuan looked at the messages he had received and found that the first message at the top of his message bar was actually from the Star Web officials. When he clicked on it, the Star Web officials hoped that he could start a Star Web live stream and accept an exclusive interview. At the same time, there was a contact below the message. Tian Ningning. Without thinking, Lin Yuan turned off the Star Web's official news. Lin Yuan did not intend to start a Star Web live stream, nor did he want to be interviewed. If he had wanted to be interviewed, he would have been interviewed by Ascending Dragon Cities and Star Web's reporters in Millstone Town. He would not have chosen to leave with Xian Ying and the others. After closing the Star Web official news, Lin Yuan looked down. He realized that the next message was from Tian Ningning, the reporter who had interviewed him, as mentioned in the Star Web's official news. Lin Yuan clicked on it and realized that this Star Web reporter named Tian Ningning had been sending him messages since yesterday morning. She had already sent nearly 20 messages. Lin Yuan did not expect this star web reporter named Tian Ningning to be so persistent in interviewing him. Lin Yuan scrolled down a few more messages and found that there were even a few guild clubs that wanted to recruit him into their team. Among them, there was even a B guild club that hoped that he could go to their guild club's base for an interview. After the interview, arrangements would be made according to his situation. Lin Yuan did not even think about it and rejected it in his heart. Lin Yuan had already thought about forming a guild club, but he had not been firm about it. Otherwise, he would not have bought such a large piece of land without hesitation. Therefore, Lin Yuan could not agree to join someone else's guild club. The main purpose of joining a guild club was to play in the S tournament. If Lin Yuan really wanted to play in the S tournament, he could form his own guild club and form a team. The messages in the star web message bar were subtly sorted. In order to prevent the official news and guild club news from being missed, they would all be pinned. After roughly reading these pinned messages, Lin Yuan felt that these pinned messages were mostly the same. They were either interviewing him or hoping to interview him to join the guild club. Out of boredom, Lin Yuan glanced at the messages that weren't pinned, and he couldn't help but raise his brows when he saw them. No more sadness, Lord Black, can you take off your mask and privately send me a photo? If you think you look ugly, just pretend that I didn't say anything. Bye, Black, I want to give birth to your children. Yu Meng and Luo Yu, hubby, what do you like to eat? As long as you tell me the address, I will buy food for you every day. Find yourself, Black, I will never forgive you in this lifetime. My girlfriend broke up with me because I am not your fan. Do as you see fit. Freehand, Lin Yuan could not help but break out in a waterfall of sweat. What are these messages? When did I get married? I don't even have a girlfriend, so why are people calling me hubby? Also, what does your girlfriend breaking up with you have to do with me? I am not the one breaking up with you. What Lin Yuan was most concerned about was that full stop, as he felt that there was a hidden meaning behind it. After looking through it, Lin Yuan cleared his message bar. He then set up the permissions to refuse to accept messages from anyone. Then, Lin Yuan logged off the star web. However, Lin Yuan did not know that he had just finished his 100th duel, and the Star Tower's winning streak list had updated his winning streak. Lin Yuan's identity, Black, had only fought 100 duels from the Star Tower's first floor to the 100th floor, and he had a 100% winning rate. Such a result might not be unbeatable, but at least it was unprecedented for the time being. In fact, Lin Yuan had already broken the Star Web's winning streak record, but the shock of winning 99 duels and winning 100 duels was different. 99 duels in a row was like a perfect painting that had a corner torn off, while 100 duels in a row was like patching up the corner of the perfect painting and making it truly perfect. Black's previous reputation mostly came from the heroic act of resisting the Pinnacle Class 1 alien insect dimensional rift in Millstone Town. Afterward, he had been in the limelight due to exposing his talent while climbing the tower. But now, Black, who had reached the 100th floor of the Star Tower with a 100% win rate and qualified for the promotion duel, was still inferior to the Radiant's 100 sequence members. Although his reputation was still inferior to the Radiant's 100 sequence members, he was already not much different from those celebrity contestants in the S tournament. However, Lin Yuan was not aware of all this. After logging off the Star Web with Black's identity, Lin Yuan logged back on the Star Web with his Creation Master identity. He hung the silver usnias that he had enhanced during this period in his store. This time, Lin Yuan set up the purchase authorization for the 10 pots of silver usnias. Although it was still first come, first served, each person could only buy 1 pot. In less than 3 minutes, Lin Yuan suddenly realized that the 10 pots of silver usnias that he had just put on the shelves were already sold out. Baidu was the first to read the latest chapter of Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Book House for free. Chapter 193. When the 10 pots of silver usnias that he had just put on the shelves were sold out, Lin Yuan realized that his purchase with No Law Store's fan club was also in an uproar. Lin Yuan couldn't help but sigh. The members of his fan club were really too fast. The silver usnias in Lin Yuan's store were sold out in just 3 minutes. However, the news of purchase with no loss store selling silver usnias still spread, and it instantly caused Lin Yuan's store's reputation to explode. Lin Yuan's price for the silver usnias was not low. Lin Yuan's price for the silver usnias was similar to the Star Tower's rare lifeform pavilion. However, silver usnias were simply too rare. Even in the Star Tower's rare lifeform pavilion, very few people would choose to auction silver usnias. After all, if the silver usnias' branches were cut and nurtured, they could quickly grow into elite usnias. Elite usnias were already quite expensive. It could be said that a silver usnia was a hen that could lay eggs. Lin Yuan didn't care about the popularity of the store after he added the new silver usnias. In any case, his Star Web store wouldn't have new especially precious phase in the future. However, the grades of usnias and spirit siphon goldfish would only get higher and higher. In a high-class office building in the Radiance Federation's royal capital, a short-haired but abnormally cute woman was sitting there sullenly. He held a pen in his hand and pressed it in boredom, causing the pen to squeak. At this time, the colleague next to the cute short-haired girl walked over and said, "Ning Ning, hasn't He replied to you yet?" The cute short-haired woman nodded and said, "There's still no news, but I'm looking at the Star Tower's winning streak list. Black's winning streak keeps increasing." He patted Tian Ningning's shoulder and said, "Ningning, there are so many news to write on the Star Web. You don't have to be so stubborn. If Black is unwilling, you can find someone else to interview. Isn't it the same?" Tian Ningning shook her head and pouted stubbornly. "Sister Feng, I still want to interview Black. I think he has potential." Tian Ningning felt conflicted. Tian Ningning was assigned Star Web special column reporter, and there were less than 300 special column reporters in the entire Star Web. It could be said that every Star Web special columnist had a large amount of traffic resources on Star Web. As for Tian Ningning, she had officially passed the test at the beginning of the year and became a Star Web special columnist reporter. After becoming a special columnist reporter for Star Web for a year, Tian Ningning had written plenty of excellent news, but she hadn't found the person she really wanted to interview. Tian Ningning actually had a lot of good opportunities this year. Not long ago, a former sequence member who had been eliminated from the Radiance 100 sequence had started a live broadcast at the Star Tower. He wanted to hire a special columnist who had signed a contract with the Star Tower to be his exclusive reporter. The former sequence member who had been eliminated from the Radiance 100 sequence had looked for Tian Ningning in private. He wanted Tian Ningning to be his exclusive reporter, but Tian Ningning politely rejected him. Because an exclusive reporter was a very special existence. If Tian Ningning signed a contract with someone else and became an exclusive reporter, from then on, Tian Ningning could only write about the person who signed the contract with her. The person who signed the contract with Tian Ningning could only let Tian Ningning write about them. Therefore, such a relationship made Tian Ningning choose very carefully. It was only when Black appeared that Tian Ningning wanted to take the initiative to interview him. But now, Tian Ningning felt that her rare passion was directly faced with the most realistic problem. The person she wanted to interview, Black, did not reply to her message. At that moment, Tian Ningning suddenly heard footsteps coming from the door. She saw her superior walking in. Just as Tian Ningning was about to go forward and speak, she realized that her superior was heading straight for her. "Tian Ningning, did you get Black's exclusive interview?" Tian Ningning shook her head in frustration and heard her superior say, "Black Star Tower has 100 consecutive victories. Black Star Tower has a 100-game winning streak. He went from the first floor with a 100% win rate to the 100th floor and qualified for the Celestial Stairway promotion competition. Go and follow up with him. If you still can't get the interview rights in 3 days, I'll get someone else to follow him." Tian Ningning was not particularly surprised when she heard that Black had a 100% win rate to the 100th floor. This was because Tian Ningning had already thought of this possibility when she was preparing to interview Black. But when she really heard this news, Tian Ningning made up her mind and made a decision. Boss, if I get Black's exclusive interview, I want to apply to be Black's exclusive reporter. Tian Ningning's superior was stunned. Tian Ningning had just finished speaking when she felt Sister Feng, who was beside her, pull her. After a while, Tian Ningning heard her superior say, "If this is your own wish, then you just need to get Black's permission. If this is your own will, then as long as you get Black's permission, I can consider it." After her superior left, Tian Ningning turned around and saw Sister Feng looking at her exasperatedly. "Ningning, with your ability, you can totally fight to become the exclusive reporter for the Radiance 100 sequence members. No matter how famous Black is, he has yet to climb the celestial stairway, and he has never shown his true face. How much of his fame now comes from heroism and mystery? You should know better than me. Most importantly, do you know how old Tower's face is behind the mask?" Tian Ningning smiled sweetly, revealing 2 small dimples. "I know Sister Feng is concerned about me, but I believe in my intuition." Sister Feng could not help but be furious. "Ningning, this year's Radiance 100 sequence is going to be ranked again. Why don't you wait until after the Radiance 100 sequences ranking to get in touch with the newly selected Radiance 100 sequence members? It's better than becoming Black's exclusive reporter." Tian Ningning smiled and shook her head. "Sister Feng, I'll go to Star Web to see if Black has replied." After speaking, Tian Ningning logged into Star Web to see if Black had replied to her. After logging in, Tian Ningning was disappointed to find that Black still had not replied to a single message. Tian Ningning did not give up and sent another message, but she realized that her message could not be sent. It was obvious that Black had set the authority to refuse to accept messages from anyone. Tian Ningning immediately became worried. What should I do? In the end, Tian Ningning gritted her teeth and thought to herself. I don't believe that I can't see Black in person. Black should be friends with the 4 members of the Extreme Guild Club's S-Tournament Reserve team. I'll go to the Extreme Guild Club and see if I can get a chance to talk to Black from the 4 members of the S-Tournament Reserve team. With that thought in mind, Tian Ningning logged off Star Web and exited the office building. She then rode her flying Fei to the Extreme Guild Club's address. Lin Yuan, who had logged off Star Web, was enhancing Fei's. Lin Yuan was enhancing the 3 small fish that he had caught at the cold pool. Even though Lin Yuan was experienced and knowledgeable, he was shocked by the Fei he had enhanced and could not help but exclaim. "This thing is too precious. How can such a mascot be enhanced?" Baidu went to read the latest chapter of Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Book House for free. Chapter 194. He had seen these 3 small fish by the pool in the depths of the endless forest and found them familiar, so he had subconsciously used true data to check. If he had not subconsciously checked, he would not have brought these 3 small fish back. These 3 small fish looked gray and only half a finger long, so they were really inconspicuous in the water. However, under true data, Lin Yuan found that they were actually the legendary myriad form carps. Lin Yuan was actually not unfamiliar with the myriad form carps, as there were many in the pool in the center of the garden outside the Radiant Moon Palace. However, the fish in the pool in the center of the garden outside the Radiant Moon Palace were not ordinary myriad form carps, but famous koi species that had evolved from myriad form carps. As the name suggested, the myriad form carp was a kind of carp that could evolve into various kinds of koi under the catalysis of various spiritual ingredients and spirit chi. Koi were considered a kind of mascot because they were always linked to good luck. Therefore, the Radiance Federation often regarded koi as the most inferior auspicious sign. However, this inferior auspicious sign only referred to ordinary koi phase. The koi in the pool in the center of the Radiant Moon Palace's garden were not like this. The pine snow falling cherry koi, the golden mountain blowing koi, and the 9-pattern dragon koi swimming in the pool in the center of the Radiant Moon Palace's garden were all top-notch koi. Each of these famous koi species had extremely complicated catalysis methods with spiritual ingredients and spirit chi, and they were all different. In fact, the spiritual ingredients used might even be hard to find. Take the pine snow falling cherry koi for example. The pine snow falling cherry koi's body was red and white, but it was not a big gap between the red and white. Instead, it was like a rain of cherry blossoms had fallen on the white snow. The cherry blossoms falling on the fish had a kind of aesthetic layering. It was as though some cherry blossoms had been buried deep in the white snow, some had only fallen on the surface of the white snow, and some were still dancing in the cold snow, unwilling to fall. In addition, the pine snow falling cherry koi's red and white body had clear pine needle patterns, making it look abnormally beautiful. The Songshua sakura koi swam in the water like pine needles and cold snow mixed together, and the falling cherry blossoms suddenly warm up. It was as if a rain of cherry blossoms had bloomed in the extreme coldness of the water. In the Radiance Federation, these famous koi species in the center of the Radiance Moon Palace's garden pool were no longer a question of whether one could obtain them with money. Many people from affluent clans who loved koi fays might not even be able to see them once in their lifetime. Even though he was used to seeing the famous koi species in the Radiant Moon Palace's central pond, he was still amazed by the 3 koi that he had evolved in the Spirit Lock spatial zone. Lin Yuan had not expected the 3 myriad form carps to evolve into such a true auspicious creature after today's enhancement. It was a superior auspicious sign. He used true data to check on the 3 myriad form carps and found that they had evolved into Dragon Phoenix landscape carps. Each of the 3 Dragon Phoenix landscape carps was close to a meter long. Of course, this meter referred to the fish's body. The Dragon Phoenix landscape carp had an elegant fishtail that was even longer than its body. The Dragon Phoenix landscape carp's fins had also turned into an elegant form that was half a meter long. However, this elegant, half-meter-long fin was supported by a fin bone, and it did not look messy at all, only infinitely elegant. Lin Yuan placed the 3 Dragon Phoenix landscape carps in the spirit pool. The swimming posture of the 3 Dragon Phoenix landscape carps in the spirit pool was not like they were swimming in the water, but like they were soaring recklessly. They spread their fins like a phoenix and swung their tails like a dragon, and their postures were extremely spirited. Of course, this was not the most impressive aspect of the Dragon Phoenix landscape carps. The fins and tails were similar to both dragons and phoenixes, and they were just like dragons and phoenixes. However, the Dragon Phoenix landscape carp's snow-white bodies were dyed with painting. The painting was like a few drops of pine smoke entering the ink, and the ink entering the clear pool. The rippling ink in the clear pool drew 10,000 miles of mountains and rivers. The mountains and rivers merged into a scene, and the mountains and rivers outlined the outline. The pavilions and terraces were all myriad phenomena, and the myriad phenomena gathered in the outline to form the magnificent scenery of mountains and rivers. The flora and fauna decorated the magnificent scenery with various colors, and the Dragon Phoenix landscape carps had painted the beautiful scenery of mountains and rivers on their bodies. The beautiful mountains and rivers didn't remain stationary on the Dragon Phoenix landscape carp's body. As the carp swam, the painting on its body was constantly changing. The changes might be very slow, but if one looked carefully, one would realize that the Dragon Phoenix landscape carp's bodies were like endless changes of mountains and rivers. In the mortal world of mountains and rivers, all sorts of amorous feelings were on one carp, and such a carp was the Dragon Phoenix landscape carp. But if that was the case, even if the beautiful scenery of mountains and rivers converged into one carp, the carp would still not be considered a superior auspicious sign. In fact, the exclusive skill that the Dragon Phoenix landscape carps had awakened was the key for Lin Yuan to define them as superior auspicious signs. Place of life, a place where vegetation will not wither, and the water will not freeze. Under the protection of the place of life, all living things will grow in the most comfortable environment and be far away from diseases. Since ancient times, people had always been debating what auspicious signs were, and their definitions of auspicious signs were also different. Plums, orchids, bamboos, and chrysanthemums were elegant and not considered auspicious signs. The osmanthus had a delicate fragrance that added a touch of nobility and could detoxify. Therefore, after the spirit chi awakening, it was understandable to treat the osmanthus as a kind of inferior auspicious sign. However, as lifeforms continued to evolve after being immersed in spirit chi, many rare and exotic beasts, such as dragon-like snakes, phoenix-like birds, red-crowned cranes, and turtles, were no longer considered true auspicious signs. Therefore, people were now having more and more disputes about auspicious signs, and their judgment of auspicious signs was also getting harsher. Because of this, the price of auspicious lifeforms was also getting more and more precious. However, since ancient times, the definition of true auspicious signs had never changed, and that was that being born auspicious would definitely be able to protect lifeforms. The Dragon Phoenix Landscape Carp's exclusive skill had indeed achieved the meaning of protecting lifeforms and setting the beautiful scenery of mountains and rivers. Lin Yuan had only enhanced the 3 Dragon Phoenix Landscape Carps that were swimming in the Spirit Pool to Bronze X/Epic. Therefore, this exclusive skill, Place of Life, could not unleash much power. If these 3 Dragon Phoenix Landscape Carps were raised in Lin Yuan's mansion, they would also be able to guarantee that the vegetation within a 3-kilometer radius would be protected by the Dragon Phoenix Landscape Carp's exclusive skill, Place of Life. The Dragon Phoenix Landscape Carp's exclusive skill, Place of Life, would also be able to guarantee that the vegetation within a 3-kilometer radius outside the mansion would be protected by the Dragon Phoenix Landscape Carp's exclusive skill, Place of Life. The air in the royal capital was rather dry and not as humid as the air in Redbud City. Therefore, it was relatively unsuitable for fays like bamboo that liked humidity to grow. If when you had not buried 250,000 caddies of high-grade energy ores in the 3,000 meters of bamboo forest behind the mansion, the leaves of the bamboo would probably have fallen off due to the dry air. However, with the Dragon Phoenix Landscape Carp's exclusive skill, Place of Life, even if it was midwinter in the future, the vegetation in the mansion would still be lush and green all year round. The water in the artificial lake would also not freeze, and the waves would still be clear and crystalline. At that moment, a Dragon Phoenix Landscape Carp suddenly jumped out of the water. That sudden posture was like a flood dragon coming out and a young phoenix breaking through the clouds. Lin Yuan looked at this Dragon Phoenix Landscape Carp that had suddenly jumped out of the water. He felt that the moment this Dragon Phoenix Landscape Carp jumped out of the water, a corner of the painting on the Dragon Phoenix Landscape Carp's body suddenly changed. That corner of the mountain and river that was outlined by the painting suddenly turned into a calm river. When looking at this scene of the beautiful changes on the Dragon Phoenix Landscape Carp's body, Lin Yuan suddenly fell into a wonderful state. Baidu, read the latest chapter of Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Book House for free. Chapter 195. Lin Yuan suddenly felt as though a vast landscape of mountains and rivers had suddenly appeared in front of him. The mountains, rivers, valleys, and oceans were all changing in the vicissitudes of time. Lin Yuan looked at the Dragon Phoenix Landscape Carp that had leaped out of the water. It was as though this glance was 10,000 years old. However, when he returned to his senses, he looked at the time. He realized that only a blink of an eye had passed. At that moment, Lin Yuan sensed a willpower rune that seemed to have an appropriate layer of ink and was flowing and changing in the pure white. It was a myriad form rune. Lin Yuan couldn't help but touch the back of his head. How did I comprehend a willpower rune just by looking at this Dragon Phoenix Landscape Carp that jumped out of the water? He had heard others say that it was very difficult to comprehend a willpower rune, but he did not have such a feeling now. Lin Yuan recalled that he had comprehended a willpower rune from watching the Green Mountain grow green even after it had been burned by raging flames. Once this willpower rune fused with the jasmine lily and advanced it into a fantasy breed, it would be considered used. The second willpower rune was comprehended when he watched the wolves kill the alien insects under the night sky. Lin Yuan had long been eyeing Red Thorn for this willpower rune. The third willpower rune was the one he had comprehended day and night on the back of the blue jade Pegasus when he went to the Imperial City with Ling Xiao. This yin-yang willpower rune didn't have a fei that Lin Yuan fancied yet. The fourth willpower rune was the Twilight rune that he had comprehended when he had seen the dawn outside Millstone Town. This Twilight rune had fused with Chimey, allowing it to transform into a fantasy breed Twilight Starbird. It could be considered to have been used. This myriad form rune was the 5th willpower rune he had comprehended. The acquisition of this myriad form willpower rune made Lin Yuan fall into contemplation. Among his fays, the spirit gather goldfish, blue flash purple butterfly, and genius didn't have a suitable willpower rune. This Wanxiang willpower rune had an all-encompassing feeling, and it looked like it could be used with anything. The spirit gather goldfish and the blue flash purple butterfly were both compatible with this Wanxiang rune. However, if he were to choose from genius, the spirit gather goldfish, and the blue flash purple butterfly, he would have to choose from the spirit gather goldfish. It was obvious that genius was more suitable for this willpower rune. This was because Wanxiang itself had the meaning of encompassing everything, just like the wisdom of intelligence. However, after Lin Yuan carefully comprehended this myriad form willpower rune, he realized that it was a myriad form willpower rune. Lin Yuan realized that the myriad form willpower rune was not a perfect match for genius. This was because the manifestation of the myriad manifestation willpower rune referred more to changes in form and not knowledge. If someone else comprehended a willpower rune and had something in common with their fae, they would probably be happy to use it immediately. However, when it came to his contracted phase, especially genius, which had accompanied him since the beginning, Lin Yuan didn't want to be careless in his choice of willpower runes. In his opinion, if his fae wanted to evolve into a fantasy breed, it would have to be matched with the most suitable willpower rune. If other spirit chi professionals knew of Lin Yuan's thoughts, they would probably kneel on the ground and call him a big shot. The comprehension of willpower runes simply couldn't be controlled. Every comprehension of willpower runes was a gift from nature after all. It was always unknown what kind of willpower rune one comprehended. Therefore, after most spirit chi professionals comprehended a willpower rune, they would look for a high-quality bronze fae that was compatible with their comprehended willpower rune and nurture it again. However, high-quality bronze faes were already very rare. Therefore, it was considered great luck for most spirit chi professionals to be able to encounter a high-quality bronze fae that was slightly compatible with their willpower rune. Not everyone could think of perfecting the perfect combination of faes and willpower runes like Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan was rather helpless as he didn't know when Red Thorn would evolve into legend. Therefore, he couldn't use the willpower rune he had comprehended from the massacre for now. The Yinyang willpower rune he had comprehended from the alternation of day and night and the myriad form willpower rune he had comprehended from the Dragon Phoenix landscape carp might be two completely different willpower runes, but they were fundamentally related to change. However, as of now, Lin Yuan didn't have a fae or source-type life form that was related to change to match these two willpower runes. Lin Yuan couldn't help but mutter. Having too many willpower runes is truly a sweet trouble. Previously, other combat class spirit chi professionals would have knelt down and called him a big shot. Lin Yuan looked at the 3 bronze/epic Dragon Phoenix landscape carps in the spirit pool and had a plan in his heart. Lin Yuan looked at the 3 bronze/epic Dragon Phoenix landscape carps in the spirit pool and had a plan in his heart. Lin Yuan didn't plan to contract these 3 Dragon Phoenix landscape carps and had a plan in his heart. Lin Yuan didn't plan to contract these 3 Dragon Phoenix landscape carps, nor would he sell them. He planned to raise these 3 Dragon Phoenix landscape carps in his mansion. If he relied on the Dragon Phoenix landscape carp's exclusive skill, place of life, he probably wouldn't need to take care of the flowers and plants in his mansion anymore. Lin Yuan made a decision in his heart. When Lin Yuan's spirit chi professional rank increased, he would evolve these 3 Dragon Phoenix landscape carps from bronze/epic to bronze/legend. For this kind of top-notch auspicious sign that could protect the living beings of a region. Lin Yuan planned to help them walk on a path to naturally evolve into fantasy breeds. Of course, with Lin Yuan around, these 3 Dragon Phoenix landscape carps didn't need to rely on themselves to increase their quality and grade. Lin Yuan could completely solve the problem of quality and grade. Therefore, the hurdle that these 3 Dragon Phoenix landscape carps needed to overcome was to see if they could comprehend a willpower rune when they reached Diamond X/legend in the future and strive for suzerain. Of course, it was still too early to talk about this now. Lin Yuan stroked his chin and looked at these 3 dragon phoenix landscape carps. He pondered for a moment and exited the spirit lock spatial zone. Lin Yuan didn't plan to raise these 3 dragon phoenix landscape carps in the mansion's pond. Instead, he planned to keep the 3 dragon phoenix landscape carps in the mansion. This was because the dragon phoenix landscape carps looked at the changes of mountains and rivers on the fish's body. It was as though they were looking at 3 great worlds that were constantly changing. There was a saying that all kinds of colors couldn't compare to ink. These dragon phoenix landscape carps that swam with the elegance of dragons and phoenixes could only be observed and enjoyed by raising them in the mansion. It just so happened that this mansion had a total of 3 floors, and the kitchen, dining room, and living room were connected on the first floor. Therefore, there was no harm in setting up a fish tank that could be used as a wall scenery to separate the kitchen, dining room, and living room. Lin Yuan roughly measured the length of this scenery wall and found that it was about the same length as the fish tank that he had imagined. Lin Yuan planned to set up a fish tank that was 9 meters long and 2 meters wide as a scenery wall. 9 meters was just 1 inch short of perfection. It was not easy for one's life to be too perfect, so it would be more auspicious if it lacked that trace of perfection. This 2-meter wide fish tank would also be able to allow these 3 dragon phoenix landscape carps to swim freely. This fish tank was used to raise these 3 dragon phoenix landscape carps. As for the water in the tank, it could be directly connected to the artificial lake outside. The dragon phoenix landscape carps originally had the ability to purify water. This way, the fish tank could be connected to the artificial lake in the mansion, and the artificial lake's water quality could also be improved perfectly. However, such a large fish tank was not readily available, and it needed to be custom-made. Right now, Lin Yuan's mansion was filled with an ancient feeling. Over the past few days, Wen Yu had purchased quite a number of matching utensils in this mansion, and it had a different flavor when paired with these jade-made furniture. Although Lin Yuan didn't have obsessive-compulsive disorder, he didn't want to use some abrupt things to destroy the overall beauty of this mansion. Therefore, Lin Yuan didn't intend to custom-make a large metal fish tank. As for the materials for the fish tank, Lin Yuan actually had a plan. Baiduan was the first to read the latest chapter of Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Book House for free. Chapter 196. There were still plenty of jade-textured wood materials in the Spirit Lock spatial zone. Among them were plenty of completely jade-textured red sandalwood. Lin Yuan had obtained these completely jade-textured red sandalwood when he had been cleaning up the Xia region's Fei store's backyard. When Lin Yuan had first taken over the Fei store, there had been a total of 6 shelves in the store. Later on, Lin Yuan had supported the store alone, and due to his body, there was only 1 shelf left. Lin Yuan had placed a large batch of red sandalwood in the Spirit Lock spatial zone after dismantling those 5 shelves. These red sandalwood had completely jade-textured red and purple like crystal jade, and there were faint red sandalwood patterns on it. These faint patterns made the jade-textured red sandalwood look as if it was faintly emitting a ball of faint purple qi, which had a hint of purple qi coming from the east. Lin Yuan felt that this completely jade-textured red sandalwood material had a very good meaning. These completely jade-textured red sandalwood materials were also worthy of the 3 superior auspicious creatures, the dragon phoenix landscape carps. At that moment, Wen Yu, who was in the mansion, was directing some gardeners who had been found from outside to do the greening of the mansion. They were planting some normal phase and decorating various parts of the mansion. There were 250,000 caddies of high-grade energy ores buried under the mansion's soil, and the dragon phoenix landscape carp's exclusive skill, place of life's protection. Perhaps after a period of time, these normal flowers and plants would have a chance to be promoted to elite grade. At that moment, Lu Jia also went out to buy spiritual ingredients. Ever since Lin Yuan had placed that pot of white jade snow orchid in the kitchen, Lu Jia especially liked to buy a bunch of spiritual ingredients and place them on the kitchen shelves. Anyway, with the white jade snow orchid, these spiritual ingredients would not go bad. Even if some plant-type spiritual ingredients had their roots broken, they would still be fresher. Lin Yuan called for a speed-hoofed donkey cart and headed for a very famous spirit craftsman store in the royal capital. Lin Yuan preferred to ride on the speed-hoofed donkey cart to travel through the royal capital on a flight-type fei. This was because the speed-hoofed donkey cart could let Lin Yuan see the prosperity and noise in the royal capital, feel the smoke of the world, and let his heart completely settle down. The speed-hoofed donkey cart's driver chatted enthusiastically with Lin Yuan along the way. The speed-hoofed donkey cart was traveling on the road when a young girl about Chu Si's age suddenly ran to the side of the road and reached out to stop the cart. She looked especially anxious. The middle-aged driver of the speed-hoofed donkey cart turned to look at Lin Yuan, asking for his opinion. If there was a passenger on the speed-hoofed donkey cart, the driver would need to obtain the consent of the passenger if he wanted to pick up another passenger on the way. Lin Yuan naturally did not care and waved his hand. "Uncle, I have no objections." The driver of the speed-hoofed donkey cart was actually very willing to take on another passenger. That was because this was tantamount to earning more money. As soon as the speed-hoofed donkey cart stopped by the side of the street, the girl immediately got on the cart and thanked him. "Thank you, uncle." "Thank you, big brother." The girl was very cheerful. After getting on the speed-hoofed donkey cart, the anxious expression on her face disappeared. This section of the road wasn't easy to hail a cab, and even if one booked a cab on the star web, they would have to wait for a long time. Now that she managed to stop a car, the girl was naturally relieved. Lin Yuan saw that this young lady was carrying a frog-shaped backpack and thought that she should be a student. After the young lady thanked him, she immediately turned to Lin Yuan and requested, "Big brother, can you ask the driver to send me to the Royal Capital's Intermediate Spirit Chi Academy for lessons first? Mom was drunk last night and forgot to wake me up this morning." Lin Yuan didn't expect this young lady to actually be a student of the Royal Capital's Intermediate Spirit Chi Academy. The Royal Capital Intermediate Spirit Chi Academy was a subsidiary school of the Royal Capital Advanced Spirit Chi Academy. Normally, most students who graduated from the Royal Capital's Intermediate Spirit Chi Academy would be directly promoted to the Royal Capital's Advanced Spirit Chi Academy. "It's on the way. The place I'm going to pass by the Royal Capital's Intermediate Spirit Chi Academy." After saying that, Lin Yuan spoke to the middle-aged driver in front. "Driver, she seems to be in a hurry. Just send her to the Royal Capital's Intermediate Spirit Chi Academy's teaching building and send me back." The Royal Capital's Intermediate Spirit Chi Academy allowed speed-hoofed donkey carts that had been certified in the Royal Capital to enter. After all, the Royal Capital's Intermediate Spirit Chi Academy was huge. Therefore, students who rode the speed-hoofed donkey to school could be directly sent to the entrance of the teaching building. When the middle-aged driver heard Lin Yuan's words, he smiled honestly and replied, "I'm fine." "Young brother, you are such a good person." Lin Yuan couldn't help but be a little speechless. This shouldn't be considered a good person, right? He was just making things convenient for her. There would always be difficulties when going out in front of outsiders, and it was better to be considerate of each other. Why did this driver give me the good person card? Lin Yuan looked at the young lady sitting obediently beside him while holding the little frog backpack in her hand and pondering. This young lady had a rather quiet personality. Normally, quiet girls would be able to calm down when learning some theoretical knowledge. At that moment, the young lady's little frog backpack echoed with a phone call. The young lady took out her phone to take a look before answering the call. Her tone was flustered and exasperated as she yelled loudly, "Wang Pang Pang, you bastard! If you want to break up, then break up. Why did you use my account to scold my form teacher? Are you a sore loser?" Upon hearing this statement, Lin Yuan immediately dispelled his previous thoughts. How was this a quiet personality? Immediately after, Lin Yuan heard the young lady speaking again. "My mother drank too much, and at 9:30 p.m., she saw me looking at the spiritual ingredient analysis information and gave me a beating. The reason was that I was pretending. Let me tell you, Wang Pang Pang, I am in a very bad mood now. Once I reach the school, I will look for your form teacher and tell him that I was the one who helped you with your homework." Lin Yuan nearly burst out in laughter. The reason was that he was putting on an act, but it was still okay. They were only in middle school, and they were already dating. Furthermore, they were torturing each other. Youngsters nowadays were truly not simple. When the young lady arrived at the school building's entrance, she bade farewell to Lin Yuan and the driver. She then picked up the little frog backpack and rushed into the school building. Lin Yuan could not help but be speechless. This young lady's running speed was probably comparable to that of an elite black-back mountain boar. Soon enough, the speed-hoofed donkey cart sent Lin Yuan to his destination, which was a very famous spirit craftsman store in the royal capital. There were many types of spirit craftsmen. For example, Lin Yuan's manor had been constructed by a Class 4 spirit craftsman team according to the design. There were more spirit craftsmen who constructed buildings. As for those spirit craftsmen who created small furniture and ornaments, they were rather rare. This was because rough carving of spiritual ingredients was relatively simple. When carving an ornament, apart from having an exquisite shape, it was more important to focus on the expression, veins, and aura. The Class 4 spirit craftsman in this store that Lin Yuan had come to was a spirit craftsman who was adept at creating furniture and ornaments. However, the reviews for this spirit craftsman store on Star Web were very extreme. Among them, 1/10 of the people said that the items in this store were excellent. The remaining 9/10 of the people said that the store owner was a lunatic. Just as Lin Yuan was about to enter the store, he noticed two people walking out of the store. The two of them looked rather annoyed as they muttered under their breath. "What a lunatic." Lin Yuan finally knew where the 9/10 of the lunatic comments came from. When Lin Yuan walked into the store, he realized that the store's decorations were simply astounding. Lin Yuan wasn't sighing at how exquisite the store's construction was. It was because the store's construction was completely like a karaoke room. Baiduan wanted to read the latest chapter of Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Book House for free. Chapter 197. Lin Yuan couldn't help but sigh. What kind of foresight was required to design the store like this? Lin Yuan looked at the 7-colored chandelier that was flickering in the store during broad daylight. He couldn't help but want to say something to the burly man who was sitting on the recliner and reading a book with a wretched smile. "Gather at the village entrance. Bring your own cement." The burly man didn't even look at Lin Yuan, who had just walked in, and said out of habit, "Today's rule is to bring your own spiritual materials. Today's rule is to prepare your own spiritual materials. If the spiritual materials reach my standard, each carving will be 100 radiance dollars. If the spiritual materials can surpass the one I have, I'll carve it for you for free, but you have to leave the shavings as a reward." After speaking, the burly man raised his hand and placed an exceptionally exquisitely carved incense burner on the table. Lin Yuan had previously doubted the burly man's aesthetic standards, but when he saw this incense burner, he was immediately attracted by it. This incense burner's carving was simply too exquisite. The incense burner looked as though it was carved with thousands of red-crowned cranes spreading their wings. When the light shone on it, it was as though crane shadows were flying out of the incense burner. If this incense burner was lit with agarwood, white smoke would rise in spirals, and crane shadows would appear one after another. It would truly be considered an elegant matter. Lin Yuan didn't waste any time and took out a piece of completely jade-textured red sandalwood. This completely jade-textured red sandalwood emitted a faint reddish-purple luster as though it was wrapped in a bundle of purple qi. Just as Lin Yuan took out this completely jade-textured red sandalwood, the burly man who was reading a book immediately jumped up from the recliner and said, "This is actually a completely jade-textured red sandalwood. It's actually red sandalwood that's so completely jade-textured. Tell me, what do you want to carve?" Lin Yuan wasn't in a hurry to answer. Instead, he pointed at the crane-shadowed censer on the table and asked, "Senior, how many cuts did you use to carve this censer? Senior, how many knives did you use to carve this incense burner? Senior, how many cuts did you use to carve this censer?" I used 30,000 cuts to carve this censer. While speaking, he even picked up the crane-shadowed censer and caressed it. It was obvious that he was very fond of this censer. Lin Yuan didn't expect the crane-shadowed censer to cost 3 million radiance dollars just for the carving process. 3 million radiance dollars wasn't a small sum, and it could be used to purchase an ordinary platinum fei. As expected of a 4-star spirit craftsman. The price of a single item was truly extraordinary. When the middle-aged man saw that Lin Yuan did not make a sound after hearing the price, he said, "You're right. If you use this completely jade-textured red sandalwood as a carving, then I can carve it for you for free. However, you have to leave the fragments of this jade-textured red sandalwood to me." Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan shook his head. He still had other uses for these jade-textured red sandalwood fragments. If the jade-textured red sandalwood fish tank was built, carving on it would definitely produce a lot of debris. Lin Yuan felt that he would be at a disadvantage if he left all these fragments to the middle-aged man in front of him. Moreover, Lin Yuan was also planning to lay these completely jade-textured red sandalwood shavings at the bottom of the fish tank as decoration. He stretched out his hand and broke off half a fist-sized piece of the completely jade-textured red sandalwood in his hand. "I can give you such a large piece of jade-textured red sandalwood as a reward. What do you think?" The middle-aged man's eyes could not help but twitch when Lin Yuan broke the completely jade-textured red sandalwood. If it weren't for the fact that this completely jade-textured red sandalwood didn't belong to him, the middle-aged man would probably beat him up. In the eyes of spirit craftsmen, the bigger the material, the more exquisite the design. On the other hand, the small size of the material has a lot of constraints on the design of the shape. G. The middle-aged man naturally had no objections to Lin Yuan's remuneration. Even though the middle-aged burly man was a class 4 spirit craftsman and had money, he had to rely on luck to obtain such completely jade-textured red sandalwood. This kind of thing had always been used up. Most of the materials on the market were finished products that had already been sculpted. It was rare to see this kind of completely unsculpted material. As for this half-fist-sized piece of jade-textured red sandalwood, it was carved with 2 eans. Zhang was not a problem. Although the middle-aged burly man felt that the remuneration given by the youth in front of him was a little too much, he would not refuse. But soon, the middle-aged burly man knew why he would get so much remuneration. It was simply a big project. When Lin Yuan saw the burly man nod, he took out the large amount of completely jade-textured red sandalwood that had been placed in the diamond face storage box in advance. At that moment, even if the middle-aged burly man was knowledgeable and had carved countless rare spiritual materials in his life, he could not help but feel dizzy. When he saw the large amount of completely jade-textured red sandalwood that filled almost 1/5 of the small store, he could not help but feel dizzy. If he had not held the table, he would have sat back down on the reclining chair. So much completely jade-textured red sandalwood was taken out together to cover the colorful chandelier on the ceiling, causing the entire room to seem to be dyed with a pool of purple air. After a long while, the middle-aged burly man came back to his senses, but he could not say a word for a long time. Lin Yuan explained his requirements for the fish tank to the middle-aged burly man. Then, he weighed the large amount of completely jade-textured red sandalwood with the middle-aged burly man and signed the relevant agreement. For such a precious spiritual material like the completely jade-textured red sandalwood, the signed agreement was very strict. Therefore, Lin Yuan was not afraid that this class 4 spirit craftsman would not follow the agreement and embezzle his spiritual materials. If this class 4 spirit craftsman embezzled his spiritual materials, the outcome that awaited him would not just be being evaluated as a lunatic by 90% of the people on Star Web. Instead, he would be utterly discredited. At the same time, he would be held accountable and severely punished. Lin Yuan had a lot of requirements for the red sandalwood fish tank, so he had a detailed discussion with the middle-aged man. The more Lin Yuan looked at the crane's shadow incense cauldron, the more he felt that the crane's shadows were very exquisite, so he said to the middle-aged man, "That's right." He said to the middle-aged burly man, "Senior, do you intend to sell this crane shadow sensor?" If someone had asked this before, this middle-aged burly man would probably have beaten that person up. This crane shadow sensor was a favorite item that this middle-aged burly man had created when he had just become a Class 4 spirit craftsman. But now that he saw so much completely jade-textured red sandalwood, the middle-aged burly man could not help but waver. He gritted his teeth and said, "Give me another huge piece of completely jade-textured red sandalwood, and you can have this sensor." Lin Yuan picked up the crane shadow sensor and took a look. He realized that this sensor was made of dragon blood golden silk bamboo, which was not completely jade-textured. It had to be said that the crane carving on the dragon blood golden silk bamboo was very artistic. The crane perched under the bamboo forest and leisurely returned with its shadow. The dragon blood golden silk bamboo was also a type of wood that was much more precious than the red sandalwood. In terms of value, this crane shadow sensor carved from the dragon blood golden silk bamboo was not as precious as the completely jade-textured red sandalwood of the same size. However, the difference in price was not too big. Lin Yuan could see that this Class 4 spirit craftsman was hesitant about selling this crane shadow sensor. Lin Yuan knew that if he hesitated, this middle-aged burly man might change his mind, and he would not be able to get this crane shadow sensor. Lin Yuan did not forget the lesson of buying the butterfly cocoon. Therefore, he made a prompt decision and completed the transaction. This crane shadow sensor carved from the dragon blood golden silk bamboo might not be completely jade-textured, but it was a piece of cake for Lin Yuan. As long as this crane shadow sensor was placed in the spirit lock spatial zone for a period of time, this crane shadow sensor carved from the dragon blood golden silk bamboo would change its appearance. After Lin Yuan made an appointment with this middle-aged burly man, he left his address. This middle-aged burly man would send this fish tank to Lin Yuan's residence in half a month. After Lin Yuan completed his plan to go out, he immediately returned to the mansion. Next, Lin Yuan was going to challenge the promotion duel after climbing the 100th level of the Star Tower. 21166 Reading Network. Chapter 198. When Lin Yuan returned to the mansion, he found Wen Yu holding a kettle and watering the earth rush golden lotus planted in the flower bed in front of the mansion. This earth rush golden lotus was not a fey planted to decorate the courtyard. In fact, this earth rush golden lotus was a source-type life form that Wen Yu had contracted. Wen Yu originally did not have a source-type earth rush golden lotus, but after she became Lin Yuan's assistant, the Moon Empress had wanted Wen Yu to better help Lin Yuan. In order for Wen Yu to better help Lin Yuan, even if she could not help much, it would be good to help take care of the mansion. Therefore, she had given this precious source-type earth rush golden lotus to Wen Yu. This silver/flawless source-type earth rush golden lotus could be said to be an excellent helper for creation masters. However, the earth rush golden lotus had a habit, and that was to bask in the sun for 6 hours a day. This was because the earth rush golden lotus could only grow well under the sun for 6 hours. If it did not bask in the sun for 6 hours, the earth rush golden lotus would be listless. For example, Lin Yuan had enhanced the bronze/epic white jade snow orchid and his silver/fantasy jasmine lily. These plants did not have a particularly high requirement for light. The indoor scattered light was enough to satisfy the needs of the bronze/epic white jade snow orchid and the silver/fantasy jasmine lily. Recently, Lin Yuan did not release all his fays and let them live in the mansion. The silver/fantasy jasmine lily and chimey, as well as the bronze 4/epic red thorn, were currently in a stage where they needed to evolve and raise their grades. Therefore, Lin Yuan placed the silver/fantasy jasmine lily and chimey in the spirit lock spatial zone. The high concentration of spirit chi in the spirit lock spatial zone could allow the silver/fantasy jasmine lily and chimey to evolve continuously. As for red thorn, Lin Yuan placed it in the leaf-shaped diamond fey storage box. He would let red thorn choose a dimensional life form that it liked to consume a large amount of flesh and blood energy to promote its evolution. Red thorn was currently the fey that he could not do anything about and was the slowest to evolve. Red Thorn's evolution was much slower than the silver/fantasy breed Chimey and the silver/fantasy breed Jasmine Lily. Take the silver/fantasy breed Chimey and the silver/fantasy breed Jasmine Lily as an example. If he wanted to, he could always upgrade Chimey and Jasmine Lily from Silver I to Silver II in a few months of seclusion. However, Red Thorn could only rely on itself to absorb a large amount of flesh and blood energy to evolve. In fact, Red Thorn's evolution speed was the same as a normal phase evolution speed. However, Red Thorn's evolution speed should be faster than other spirit chi professionals' phase. It was much faster. This was because at the very least, Red Thorn didn't need to worry about the large amount of energy from the flesh and blood of dimensional creatures. Red Thorn was now consuming large amounts of Class 1-dimensional lifeforms' flesh and a small amount of Class 2 and Class 3-dimensional lifeforms' flesh. A Class 3-dimensional lifeform's flesh was already equivalent to a gold phase flesh. This way, Red Thorn's daily food expenses would cost at least 500 radiance dollars. This was under the premise that Red Thorn only ate a small amount of cheap grade 3-dimensional creatures. It was unknown how much resources Red Thorn would consume if it accumulated over time. This was a resource supply that many normal spirit chi professionals couldn't achieve. Therefore, it could be seen how difficult it was for ordinary spirit chi professionals to upgrade their phase grade and quality. Red Thorn was in the diamond phase storage box. As Red Thorn's tenant and number 1 bootlicker, the acid corrosion Queen Bee was naturally in the leaf-shaped diamond phase storage box with Red Thorn. To the source-type life form, the acid corrosion Queen Bee, a place with Red Thorn was heaven. The acid corrosion Queen Bee was absorbing a large amount of acid from Red Thorn's body and starting to produce and store acid-swallowing larvae. As for Genius, the blue flash purple butterfly, and the spirit gather goldfish, which couldn't become fantasy breeds due to the willpower rune, were stuck in quality and grade. They were also very busy. Chimey had been hanging out with Genius recently, and it was unknown what they were researching. Every time Lin Yuan saw Genius and Chimey together, he could feel Chimey's face filled with anticipation and excitement, as well as Genius' helpless expression. Ever since the Jasmine Lily had become a fantasy breed, the blue flash purple butterfly would land on the Jasmine Lily's bowl-sized emerald green flower that hadn't undergone heterogenization. Life was very comfortable. The spirit gather goldfish, Little Black, had changed from being cold and overbearing at the beginning to constantly pick up the butterfly shells at the bottom of the spirit pool and feed them to the female 5 fortune Ranchu every day. He watched as his fays were busy, comfortable, and affectionate. As a contestant, Lin Yuan was happy to be idle. When Wen Yu saw Lin Yuan, she immediately put down the kettle in her hand and said with a smile, "Young master, I just brewed some hot tea and placed it on the table." Lin Yuan nodded. He had not bought the tea leaves in the manor himself but had been sent over by the Radiant Moon Palace. These tea leaves were spirit tea grown by the Radiant Moon Palace's tea attendants. There were even many leaves of platinum dark dream fragrant tea mixed among the tea leaves. In this late autumn, drinking a cup of tea mixed with the leaves of platinum dark dream fragrant tea could directly dispel the coldness and lift one's spirits. After entering the house, Lin Yuan poured a cup of spirit tea. The teapot with sweet white glaze did not have any outline on it. It only had the pure feeling of the sweet white glaze and a faint glaze luster. It was the same for the teacup, which was also made of sweet white glaze. The plain teacup was filled with tea that was like amber. The tea emitted that kind of elegant fragrance that was very pleasant. Lin Yuan took out a section of completely jade-textured, black, crystal-like agarwood. He ground this completely jade-textured agarwood bit by bit in the new crane shadow sensor and ignited it. It was matched with the gentle halo emitted by the jade-textured furniture on the table. It was as though there was a crane shadow dancing in the sunlight. The crane shadow pierced through the sunlight and lingered around the rising green smoke. It was unknown whether the sunlight was reflected into the smoke or the smoke was mixed into the sunlight. The rising green smoke dyed the sunlight into a kind of illusory and real feeling that was close to nothingness. This kind of nothingness with the graceful craned shadow made people feel as though they had already ascended to immortality. The aura of the agarwood mixed with the fragrance of the dark dream fragrant tea, and the two merged into one. Not only was this combination not abrupt, but it was as though the agarwood's stone-like calmness was dyed with a hint of lightness that only existed in dreams. It was enough to make a person who was tensed up feel lazy. Just this fragrance entering the nose could dispel one's fatigue. Coincidentally, this scene was seen by Lu Jia, who came out of the kitchen. During this period, Lu Jia had gotten used to being surprised again and again, and his horizons had also widened a lot. However, when he saw such a scene, Lu Jia could not help but want to exclaim. Compared to being surprised, this exclamation was more of intoxication. The crane's shadow flowed between the sunlight and the sunlight. The sunlight and crane's shadow flew together. This kind of feeling could probably only be described as the seagull and the heron forget everything. When Lin Yuan saw Lu Jia come over, he picked up the sweet white glazed teacup on the table and poured a cup of spirit tea for Lu Jia. Lu Jia also placed the syrup fresh fruit that he had just made in the kitchen on the table. Baidu, read the latest chapter of the Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Bookhouse for free. Chapter 199. The syrup of fresh fruits was made with dozens of kinds of silver ingredients and mixed with the maple syrup of the gold maple tree. It was a very nutritious dessert before the meal. After taking the spirit tea from Lin Yuan, Lu Jia said, "Lin Yuan, I've gotten the invitation for the private auction I mentioned last time." "Lin Yuan, I have received the invitation for the private auction that I mentioned previously. It will be held on the Royal Capital's Rare Lifeform Pavilion's 3rd floor at 7 p.m. 3 days later." Lin Yuan nodded and asked, "Is there any specific information about the source-type lifeforms this time?" Lu Jia nodded very solemnly and replied, "Is there any specific information about the source-type lifeforms this time? This private auction is being held because 2 of the King-class expert squad's 5 members have comprehended willpower runes in a Class 3-dimensional rift. That's why this private auction is being held in order to gather resources to exchange for high-grade bronze phase that are suitable for their willpower runes. I heard that a total of 3 source-type items will appear this time." Lu Jia's words immediately piqued Lin Yuan's interest. Previously, Lin Yuan had thought that even if there would only be 1 source-type lifeform appearing in this private auction. He had used a source-type lifeform as a primer to raise the reputation of this private auction. However, he had not expected that this private auction would actually auction 3 source-type lifeforms. Lin Yuan thought that even if he couldn't get a source-type item that could protect him, he would still be able to get it. As for this King-class expert squad, others might not be able to get a high-quality bronze fey. As for this King-class expert squad, others might not be able to get a high-quality bronze fey. However, it was just a piece of cake for Lin Yuan. Since this King-class expert squad had chosen to auction these 3 source-type lifeforms, it meant that these 3 source-type lifeforms did not match the contract conditions of this King-class expert squad. However, the contract conditions of each source-type lifeform were completely different. These 3 source-type lifeforms did not match the King-class expert squad, but it did not necessarily match the others. Lin Yuan was not too worried about this. After lunch, Lin Yuan returned to his room. Just as he was about to log on to Star Web, his cell phone rang. When Lin Yuan saw that it was Zhang Xiaobai, he picked up the phone. As soon as he picked up the phone, he heard Zhang Xiaobai say, "Black, do you have an exclusive reporter on Star Web now?" As soon as Lin Yuan heard Zhang Xiaobai's address, he knew it was related to his identity as Black. If it was a private call, Zhang Xiaobai would just call him Lin Yuan. Upon hearing Zhang Xiaobai's words, Lin Yuan roughly knew that it was because he had set up the Star Web to reject everyone's messages. Star Web hadn't been able to contact him because they knew that he was familiar with Zhang Xiaobai and the others during the battle outside Millstone Town. Thus, they had gone to the Extreme Guild Club in hopes of finding him through Zhang Xiaobai and the others. "I don't have an exclusive reporter, but I don't want to accept any interviews. It's too troublesome." Hearing this, Zhang Xiaobai agreed and said, I think so too. It's too troublesome to go back and forth. At that moment, Lin Yuan heard Zhang Xiaobai scream, and then Xianing picked up the phone. Lin Yuan, I'm Xianing. You have already started the promotion duels for the Celestial Stairway. After you reach the Celestial Stairway, the Star Tower's video library will have a recording of your Star Tower battles. An exclusive reporter will not only do interviews, but will also be responsible for all news releases and battle reports related to you. Xianing was very serious. This was because there were less than 300 special columnists in the Star Tower. If he could have such a star web columnist and become an exclusive reporter, it would undoubtedly be of great help to his future development. With an exclusive reporter, Lin Yuan would be able to reduce a lot of unnecessary trouble. Xianing treated Lin Yuan as a friend, so she naturally had to consider problems from Lin Yuan's various perspectives. Xianing had a carefree personality, but she was also meticulous. Thus, she did not want Lin Yuan to miss the opportunity and suffer losses. Upon hearing Xianing's words, Lin Yuan pondered for a moment before replying, yes. Big Sister Ing, help me reply to that Star Web reporter. I will take the initiative to contact him on Star Web in a few days. Xianing replied. This Star Web columnist is called Tian Ningning. I'll tell her to wait for a while. If you have any requests that you don't agree with when you talk to Tian Ningning privately, you can reject them directly. You can choose your own exclusive reporter, and the decision on the conditions is in your hands. Previously, Xianing had been afraid that Lin Yuan would miss a good opportunity. But now, Xianing was afraid that Lin Yuan would be at a disadvantage when discussing the exclusive reporter contract with Tian Ningning. After hanging up the phone, Lin Yuan could not help but smile. Perhaps Lin Yuan's greatest gain from the life and death battle in Millstone Town was obtaining 4 friends who had experienced life and death. The words he had said to Xianing on the phone just now, Lin Yuan could feel that Xianing's words were full of concern for him and consideration for him. Lin Yuan was actually not very concerned about the exclusive reporter. However, since this Star Web columnist called Tian Ningning had gone to the Extreme Guild Club, she had already shown full sincerity. Putting aside whether he would sign a contract or not, it would not be a big problem to discuss it on Star Web. After hanging up the phone, Lin Yuan logged into Star Web. Lin Yuan was already prepared for the Celestial Stairway promotion duels. This should be his biggest challenge since climbing the tower. Lin Yuan arrived at the promotion duels above the 100th floor of the Star Web Tower and was immediately matched. There were a total of 3 duels in the Star Web Tower, and Lin Yuan only needed to win 2 duels to be promoted to the Celestial Stairway. Soon, Lin Yuan was matched with an opponent. Lin Yuan looked at the opponent's information and could not help but feel that the Wang Shui he had met previously was not considered a liver emperor. This person called Chen Hongfeng was a true liver emperor. While Lin Yuan was observing Chen Hongfeng's Star Web duels, Chen Hongfeng was also observing Lin Yuan's duels. Chen Hongfeng could not help but say, "Fuck. You're black. How did you achieve a 100% win rate? Have you never climbed the Star Tower before?" After saying that, Chen Hongfeng raised his head and said to the air, "Friends in the live streaming room, I've encountered black. Friends in the live broadcast room, I've met black. Boss, I've met black. It's simply too awesome." At that moment, in the Dragon Gate Guild Club's conference room, Long Tao looked at the watermelon-haired Fong Duo and asked, Duo, who's black? Why are you so excited, little Fong?" Wang Duo, who was chewing gum, could not help but roll his eyes when he heard Long Tao's words. "Boss, how long has it been since you went to the Star Web Forum? How many people on the Star Web Forum don't know about black?" However, Fong Duo naturally would not say this out loud, so he worded his words. Baidu, read the latest chapter of Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Book House for free. Chapter 200. Fong Duoduo's eyes lit up. I heard that boss is a healing-type spirit chi professional who ascended to the Star Tower's 100th floor with a 100% win rate and qualified for the Celestial Stairway promotion duels. When Fong Duo said this, he emphasized the words healing-type spirit chi professional. It was like a reminder to Long Tao, reminding him of what he had told Long Tao before. However, Long Tao clearly did not understand Fong Duo's intentions. Instead, he spoke with great interest. A healing-type spirit chi professional has a 100% success rate when climbing the tower? Interesting. As soon as Long Tao finished his words, Fong Duo couldn't help but complain in his heart. This wasn't just a little interesting, this was way too interesting, okay? Fong Duo suddenly heard Long Tao ask. Didn't I ask Xiao Feng to train himself at the Celestial Stairway rank advancement competition? How does Xiao Feng know about black? Fong Duo grinned and said. How would I know? But Chen Hongfeng is very hard-working. Although Fong Duo said that, he was already mourning for Chen Hongfeng in his heart. Chen Hongfeng was a member of Dragon Gate Club's reserve team for the S tournament. As the Radiance 100 Sequence 3, Long Tao was also the captain of the Dragon Gate Guild Club's S tournament team. Long Tao thought highly of Chen Hongfeng, who was currently in the reserve team. He planned to train Chen Hongfeng heavily. However, in Fong Duo's opinion, whoever caught Long Tao's eye and wanted to be nurtured well was simply unlucky. Chen Hongfeng used to be such an affable fat otaku. In 4 months, Long Tao had trained Chen Hongfeng into a skinny otaku. Sure enough, Fong Duo listened to Long Tao. Little Feng isn't training seriously. Tell him to train another 100 matches after he comes down from Star Web. Fong Duo silently lit a candle for Chen Hongfeng in his heart. Moreover, this candle was white. At this moment, Fong Duo heard Long Tao's exclamation again. Long Tao said. Why does it feel so familiar? At this moment, Long Tao looked at Black, who was standing opposite Chen Hongfeng. He felt that the silver-masked man had a temperament that left a deep impression on him. It was as if he had seen it somewhere before. Fong Duo interrupted. Chen Hongfeng, you've been training him for almost half a year. Of course you're familiar with him. Long Tao looked at Fong Duo as if he was a fool. Then, he ignored Fong Duo and looked at Chen Hongfeng's live stream. It didn't matter if the man in black with the silver mask was familiar or not. Long Tao really wanted to see how a healing-type spirit chi professional could fight his way to the Celestial Stairway promotion duels with a winning streak. When Fong Duo received Long Tao's gaze, he trembled. She wondered why she had to be lazy to watch Chen Hongfeng's live broadcast with Long Tao. Wouldn't it be better to train in the training room with your teammates? After Chen Hongfeng said that to the live broadcast room, he didn't think that he was broadcasting at all. Instead, he focused all his attention on the arena. However, at this time, Chen Hongfeng's live streaming channel was in an uproar. Bree supporting the Willow, just now, Child Feng called him boss. Does that mean that Sequence 3, Lord Cetopple, is also watching this live broadcast? I can actually watch the same broadcast as Lord Overturn C. This is such a blessing. Dark Moon Luo Feng, ah. It was Lord Black. I really want to see just how strong Lord Black is. Your little fairy is here with me, I can't take it anymore. I'm going to faint from excitement. Why is chemistry so difficult? So what if you faint? I've already peed my pants. I didn't even move. I'm going to watch this duel first. Chen Hongfeng wasn't in a hurry to summon his phase. He looked at Lin Yuan and said, Black, after this match, I'll end your winning streak. Upon hearing Chen Hongfeng's words, Lin Yuan didn't say anything and immediately summoned Chimey and Red Thorn. The moment Lin Yuan summoned Chimey and Red Thorn, Chen Hongfeng also summoned his 2 phase. When Lin Yuan saw Chen Hongfeng's summoned phase, his eyes shrank. These 2 phase were lizard phase. One of them had bluish-black skin, and the teeth on the outside of its mouth were exposed. Each of the densely packed teeth was more than 4 inches long. Its body was as strong as a giant elephant, and its limbs were thick and powerful. It was a giant lizard with a very sinister appearance. Its body was 8 meters long and 4 meters tall. Its body seemed to be filled with powerful energy and explosive power. The other Fey was a lizard that was over 1 meter in size, but it looked very strange. Its entire body was covered with dark green and brown stripes. It had a massive tail that was like a shield blocking in front of its body. This lizard's body was only the size of a watermelon, but its curled tail was more than 10 times the size of its body. Lin Yuan used true data to look at the 2 Feys' data. First Fey frowny face Fey name, smooth-toothed elephant lizard, Fey species, toothed lizard/giant lizard, Fey grade, gold, 610, Fey type, water, Fey quality, flawless abilities frowny face tragic claw, rapidly brandish its sharp claws. While tearing the target, the mucus on the sharp claws will seep into the target's body and cause a bleeding effect. Smooth-toothed tear, after biting the target, it will rapidly shake its head and tear the target. At the same time, it will rotate its body and twist off a large piece of flesh. Oily mucus, the body secretes a large amount of oily mucus that can effectively resist physical damage. Wave treading strike, stimulate the body's water elemental energy to perform a self-sacrificing strike. Exclusive skill frowny face blood burning strike, burn all the body's water elemental energy and blood to launch a fatal strike through the tongue. After the attack, the target will enter a near-death state. Second Fey frowny face Fey name, huge-tailed swamp lizard, Fey species, tailed lizard/scaled lizard, Fey grade, gold, 810, Fey type, water/earth, Fey quality, flawless abilities frowny face fetid mud, spray out mud with strong corrosiveness and a fetid smell. The mud contains pathogenic bacteria. Fetid swamp, create a fetid swamp in a small area. If a target steps on the swamp, it will be dragged into the depths of the swamp by the swamp's sinking force. Mud escape, the body can hide in the fetid swamp and rely on the swamp to avoid damage. Rotten mud rain curtain, circulate the body's earth and water elements to create a heavy rain of fetid mud. Exclusive skill frowny face broken tail rebirth, when facing a fatal attack, the huge-tailed swamp lizard can use its tail to resist the damage and sever its tail to escape. It will then rapidly stimulate the body's energy to grow a new tail. When he saw the 2 Feys' data, Lin Yuan knew that he was about to face a tough battle. These 2 Feys were very outstanding, be it in terms of abilities or exclusive skills. Furthermore, one of the 2 Feys had prehistoric atavism, while the other had spiritual mutation. Their control and burst abilities formed a rather good combination. Lin Yuan knew that if he made a mistake or was careless, he would lose the match. But at the same time, this battle, in which he was at a slight disadvantage, ignited Lin Yuan's long-lost hot blood. This hot blood was just like when he was resisting the insect tide outside Millstone Town. The battle situation on the battlefield was on the verge of breaking out as Lin Yuan commanded Red Thorn to launch an attack. Baidu was the first to read the latest chapter of The Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Book House for free. Chapter 201. Red Thorn had already ejected a large amount of spores from its spore cavity. A large number of spores had already formed a sea of flowers under Red Thorn's energy transmission. In this battle, Red Thorn was not stingy with its energy. Under Lin Yuan's command, it had expanded the sea of flowers as much as possible and covered the battlefield. The huge-tailed swamp lizard wasn't idle either. It had already used its skill, Stinking Swamp, to expand a swamp that was nearly 10 square meters wide. The large-tailed swamp lizard was a spell unit, so the fetid swamp lizard was only there to hide and avoid damage. This way, the huge-tailed swamp lizard could continuously use smelly mud or decaying mud rain to deal damage from the rear. At this moment, the huge-tailed swamp lizard had already stirred up the mud and attacked the child rabbits that Red Thorn had spawned. However, the next scene shocked Chen Hongfeng. The corrosive mud created by the huge-tailed swamp lizard did not cause much damage to the plants in the sea of flowers. Lin Yuan was not surprised by this situation, as everything was within his expectations. Red Thorn had to devour large amounts of dimensional lifeforms' flesh and blood every day. As of now, Red Thorn had devoured countless Class 3 dimensional lifeforms' flesh that were comparable to gold phase. Among them, there was even a Class 3 alien insect, acid corrosion tapeworm, whose blood was highly corrosive. Even the rank 3 alien insect, the acid corrosion sackworm, Red Thorn, ate it with relish and was not affected at all. Therefore, the child ramets and ramets that Red Thorn produced were extremely resistant to corrosion. The huge-tailed swamp lizard wanted to expand its swamp into the Sea of Flowers, so it jumped to the edge of the Sea of Flowers and prepared to use its gold skill, Decaying Rain. At that moment, Lin Yuan made a prompt decision to summon the blue flash purple butterfly, which he had never summoned in a battle before. In the past, whenever he used the blue flash purple butterfly's silent scale powder, he would casually release it through Morbius on his wrist. The effect of the silent scale powder wasn't as powerful as when the blue flash purple butterfly was summoned and released by itself. The moment the blue flash purple butterfly appeared, a bluish-purple halo flickered. After a few flashes, the blue flash purple butterfly disappeared into the Sea of Flowers. With a flap of its wings, the scattered scale powder seemed to have set off a faint purple haze. However, this magnificent purple haze was a complete disaster for the spiritually mutated huge-tailed swamp lizard. The silent scale powder, which had an adhesive property, sprinkled onto the huge-tailed swamp lizard's body. The huge-tailed swamp lizard, which was still controlling the decaying rain, immediately dissipated the decaying rain that had yet to form. The moment the adhesive silent scale powder came into contact with the huge-tailed swamp lizard, the huge-tailed swamp lizard lost its ability to sense the water and earth elements. The blue flash purple butterfly, a creature that only existed in ancient texts and legends, appeared in front of everyone for the first time in this battle. It immediately set off a storm that was not inferior to Black's appearance. After the Spirit Chi awakening, the top 10 most beautiful phase would be evaluated every year. The blue flash butterfly could have been in the top 5 based on its beauty, but because its high-grade skills weren't that strong, it was ranked 9th. Now that Lin Yuan had summoned the blue flash purple butterfly, it proved that the blue flash purple butterfly did exist in the blue flash butterfly population. At the same time, it also proved the authenticity of the ancient documents. This year, the blue flash butterfly might even have the qualifications to reach the top 3 of the top 10 most beautiful phase. Chen Hongfeng was also in a trance for a moment when he saw the blue flash purple butterfly. Just as Chen Hongfeng was in a trance, he had already controlled Red Thorn to transmit most of its energy to the huge-tailed swamp lizard, which was controlled by the blue flash purple butterfly's silent scale powder. The strongest ramets that Red Thorn could produce were quickly spawned via the huge-tailed swamp lizard that was controlled by the blue flash purple butterfly's silent scale powder. The ramet's vines grabbed at the huge-tailed swamp lizard, which was controlled by the silent scale powder and could not sense any water and earth elements. Chen Hongfeng had already recovered from his momentary trance. When he saw the thorny vines at the edge of the Sea of Flowers that were grabbing at the huge-tailed swamp lizard, he immediately knew that it was not good. The huge-tailed swamp lizard, which was controlled and could not sense the water and earth elements, was a live target that could not resist. If it was dragged into this large sea of flowers, how could it come out alive? Therefore, Chen Hongfeng shouted and ordered the huge-tailed swamp lizard to use its exclusive skill, Broken Tail Rebirth. After breaking its tail, the huge-tailed swamp lizard immediately became the size of a watermelon, and its small body flashed back into the swamp that had been spawned. The swamp was slowly washing away the silent scale powder on the huge-tailed swamp lizard's body. At that moment, he provided a large amount of spiritual power to the blue flash purple butterfly. The blue flash purple butterfly immediately released a large amount of silent scale powder. This lavender haze was like a snow cherry blooming in midsummer. When the scale powder fell, it carried a unique halo, making this foul-smelling tide look like a fairyland. He used the blue flash purple butterfly to seal the huge-tailed swamp lizard's movements. The swamp created by the huge-tailed swamp lizard was too small, and its body was still stained with silent scale powder, so it could not create another swamp. Therefore, the entire foul-smelling swamp lizard was mixed with a large amount of silent scale powder released by the blue flash purple butterfly, turning this foul-smelling swamp of less than 10 square meters into a forbidden area that isolated any elements. It was this forbidden area that the huge-tailed swamp lizard had created and firmly locked any possible movement of the huge-tailed swamp. Red thorn's sea of flowers had already surrounded the swamp, which was less than 10 square meters in size. A large number of elite ramets surrounded the swamp layer by layer. The huge-tailed swamp lizard was a gold 8/flawless fae, but its defense was not strong. However, the large-tailed swamp lizard's defense wasn't strong. If it came out, it wouldn't have that many tails to break in this sea of flowers. It would be torn into pieces by this sea of flowers. Chen Hongfeng's expression was very ugly. Chen Hongfeng didn't expect that black would immediately cripple one of his fays. This made him feel very passive. However, he was not having a good time either. Without using the spirit chi imprint, the spiritual power in his body was almost exhausted. A large amount of spirit chi was provided to the blue flash purple butterfly and red thorns or tet, which sealed the huge-tailed swamp lizard. Although the spirit gather goldfish's exclusive skill, the spirit chi imprint, could solve the current problem. However, he did not intend to use the spirit chi imprint in any of the Star Tower duels. Once the spirit chi imprint was opened, once the spiritual power contained in it was released, it could only stop when all the spiritual power was exhausted. The spirit chi imprint was one of Lin Yuan's trump cards to survive in the real world. If he had not unlocked the spirit chi imprint, he would not have been able to create that sea of flowers in Millstone Town that could resist the pinnacle class 1 insect tide. Therefore, the next duel was considered Lin Yuan's real difficult battle. Chen Hongfeng's remaining gold 6/flawless smooth-toothed elephant lizard was a fae that relied purely on brute force. Its exclusive skill, Blood Burning Strike, might enter a near-death state after launching the strike. However, under the explosive power of this move, Lin Yuan was likely to be taken away by this blood-burning strike. Chen Hongfeng had already commanded the smooth-toothed elephant lizard to charge toward Lin Yuan and face red thorns or tet. Although the small sea of flowers produced by red thorn could cause damage to the huge-tailed swamp lizard, it could not do anything to this wild smooth-toothed elephant lizard. Lin Yuan even vaguely felt a trace of a dragon species fae in this smooth-toothed elephant lizard's body. It seemed that this smooth-toothed elephant lizard's body already had a faint possibility of reversion toward the smooth-toothed dragon. When the smooth-toothed elephant lizard galloped over, it had already used its gold ability, wave treading. While the smooth-toothed elephant lizard was galloping over, it suddenly screamed in pain. Lin Yuan's gold eye/legend acid corrosion queen bee had been hiding in an inconspicuous child rhizome. When the smooth-toothed elephant lizard galloped close, the acid corrosion queen bee activated wing stealth. When the smooth-toothed elephant lizard galloped close, the acid corrosion queen bee activated wing stealth. It allowed the acid corrosion queen bee to silently conceal its whereabouts and activate its exclusive skill, two-hit kill, at the smooth-toothed elephant lizard's abdomen. Two slender stingers pierced straight into the smooth-toothed elephant lizard's abdomen, and the venom was injected into its body along the stingers. The acid corrosion queen bee's two stingers carried two kinds of acid corrosion venom, which instantly disintegrated a bucket-sized hole in the smooth-toothed elephant lizard's abdomen. As soon as this hole appeared, many of the smooth-toothed elephant lizard's internal organs were directly affected by the gravity and blocked in this broken hole. The acid corrosion queen bee's sudden attack completely caught the smooth-toothed elephant lizard off guard. The acid corrosion queen bee benefited but did not immediately retreat. Instead, it continued to stab the penetrating bone bee stinger into the smooth-toothed elephant lizard's most vulnerable organs that were blocked in the hole. The penetrating bone bee stinger was not done shattering the organs. At the same time, it cruelly produced a parasitic wasp pupa. Then, the smooth-toothed elephant lizard hissed in pain and swept its tail over. The acid corrosion queen bee activated its wing stealth skill and disappeared into the bushes in a flash. This large sea of flowers was the best battlefield for the acid corrosion queen bee, and it was also the most advantageous protection for the acid corrosion queen bee. After using the acid corrosion queen bee's set of abilities, the spirit chi in his body was immediately depleted. Had it not been for Red Thorn's thornless vine supporting Lin Yuan, he would have instantly fallen to the ground due to the exhaustion of spirit chi. He used the last bit of spiritual power in his body to use the Spirit Gather Goldfish's spirit injection ability on himself. However, when he used the Spirit Gather Goldfish's spirit injection ability, he let Red Thorn wave its vines to block his action. At that moment, Chen Hongfeng was not worried about the smooth-toothed elephant rhino's injuries. Instead, the corners of his mouth suddenly revealed a determined smile as he said, "It's close enough." "Black, you've been fooled." Baidu immediately read the latest chapter of the Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Bookhouse for free. Chapter 202. Chen Hongfeng's voice rang out. The smooth-toothed elephant lizard immediately used its exclusive skill, Burning Blood Strike, which could only be used once before entering a near-death state. At that moment, everyone in Chen Hongfeng's Star Web live streaming room could not help but hold their breaths as they watched the duel. When Dusk summoned the blue flash purple butterfly, the screen was still densely packed and blocked the live broadcast. However, when he saw Black and Chen Hongfeng fighting, Black directed the blue flash purple butterfly to seal the gold 6/flawless huge-tailed swamp lizard. Watching Hua Hai and the blue flash purple butterfly's flawless coordination, Tang Wulin felt like he was watching a movie that was delightful to watch. Many people couldn't bear to send bullet comments to destroy this smooth and flowing scene. A large number of people poured into Chen Hongfeng's live broadcast room. Among them was Star Web special columnist, Tian Ningning. When Tian Ningning heard that Black was going to fight in the promotion match and that his opponent was going to be broadcasted live, she was shocked. He put down everything he was doing and entered Chen Hongfeng's live streaming room. Tian Ningning watched the battle between Black and Chen Hongfeng, and the decision she made in her heart became firmer. It wasn't that Tian Ningning was betting on whether the dark faction would always be popular and newsworthy. As a Star Web special columnist reporter, Tian Ningning could be considered a literati. Scholars always had a faint sense of arrogance in their bones. This arrogance made Tian Ningning only want to write columns that interested her and only want to interview the people she wanted to interview. It was probably a response to the saying, "Would rather die holding a fragrant branch than being blown away by the north wind." Otherwise, Tian Ningning would not have refused to become the exclusive reporter of the eliminated sequence member of the Radiance 100. There were only 100 members of the Radiance 100 sequence in the entire Radiance Federation. Every year, 10 new candidates would enter the Radiance 100 sequence. At the same time, it would also eliminate the top 10 sequence members. However, these sequence members who had been eliminated from the Radiance 100 sequence might seem to have come down from the altar. However, their reputation would not be much worse than those newly selected Radiance 100 sequence members. Black's appearance made Tian Ningning feel like picking up a pen and continuously writing articles about this young man's deeds and exciting battles and posting them on the Star Web. Although Black had never shown its true face to anyone, it had always been wearing a silver mask. However, Tian Ningning was still willing to believe that Black was just a teenager. Although Black usually wore a silver mask and appeared unusually calm, there was always a hint of youthfulness in its temperament. This youthful feeling made Tian Ningning feel that when she looked at Black's eyes through the silver mask, it was as if there was a sun hidden in his eyes. It was as if Black could unleash its sharpness at any time, break through the layers of clouds, and let the sun rise from the east. Tian Ningning had paid a huge price to see Zhang Xiaobai, Xianing, and the others at the Extreme Guild Club. It was now the preparation stage of the S tournament. As a B-level guild, the pressure on the Extreme Guild Club wasn't small. Otherwise, they could take a step forward and fight their way into the top 16, advancing to become an A-grade guild. Otherwise, they could maintain their current position as a B-rank guild. The S tournament was the biggest team competition for the younger generation. There was no one who didn't want to give it a try. Furthermore, the captain of the Extreme Guild Club's main team, the Radiance 100 Sequence number 18 White Devil, had also experienced a significant increase in strength over the past 6 months. As a result, the Extreme Guild Club, which was a second-level guild club, had a good chance of becoming an A-level guild club this year. Therefore, as members of the reserve team for the S tournament, Xian Ying and Zhang Xiaobai naturally had to step up their training. As a Star Web special columnist, Tian Ningning also had her own connections. Tian Ningning used a lot of favors to enter the Extreme Guild Club and find Xian Ying and Zhang Xiaobai. In fact, Tian Ningning had put in so much effort just to try her luck. However, what made Tian Ningning excited was that her efforts weren't in vain. Since Black had agreed, he would look for him on Star Web. Although Tian Ningning wasn't sure if she could become Black's exclusive reporter, at least she could have a chance to fight for it. In the meeting room of the Dragon Gate Guild Club, Long Tao watched the battle between Black and Chen Hongfeng. Seeing that the smooth-toothed elephant lizard had activated its exclusive skill, Burning Blood Strike, he said. Black doesn't look like a healing-type spirit chi professional. Fong Duo replied immediately upon hearing Long Tao's words. This strange plant sea of flowers looks gorgeous, but it's not that strong. As soon as Fong Duo finished speaking, Long Tao glanced at him and shook his head. It's very strong, but if this is Black's full strength, then he hasn't reached the standard of a sequence member. Fong Duo didn't understand why Long Tao would say that. Long Tao had always been arrogant, and it wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that he was arrogant. Since when would Long Tao give others such a high evaluation? At that moment, Fong Duo heard Long Tao's explanation. Although I don't know if this strange plant is a plant species Fey or a source-type life form, it should be at epic. Fong Duo couldn't help but ask. Bronze/epic? Long Tao nodded and continued speaking. Do you know why that mutated blue flash butterfly was able to defeat Little Feng's gold huge-tailed swamp lizard with bronze strength? Fong Duo stroked his chin and pondered for a moment before replying. Apart from restraining it, could this blue flash purple butterfly also be of high quality? Long Tao asked indifferently. I can't figure out this blue flash purple butterfly's specific quality just based on this live broadcast, but it's at least epic. Fong Duo was shocked when he heard that. Long Tao's words had always been watertight. If Long Tao could be sure that it was epic, he would definitely not say that it was at least epic. But did a bronze/legend Fey really exist? As soon as he had this thought, Fong Duo suddenly recalled the Redbud City girl who had a bronze/fantasy breed Fey on the news. Fong Duo couldn't help but sigh. Indeed, comparisons were odious. When comparing goods, one had to throw them away. I'm a Radiance 100 Sequence member, the Radiance Federation's prodigy. Why does it seem like my talent suddenly seems to have become so ordinary? However, Fong Duo wasn't willing to believe that this blue flash purple butterfly was a bronze/legend Fey. It was simply too shocking. Although Long Tao was a Class 3 creation master, he had only watched the live broadcast on Star Web and had not actually come into contact with the Fey. It was difficult to accurately judge the Fey's quality. When Long Tao saw that Fong Duo was no longer speaking, he explained again. Did you see that bee that injured the smooth-toothed elephant lizard just now? The smooth-toothed elephant lizard's silver ability, Oily Mucus, allows it to effectively resist physical damage, but it still couldn't block this gold-eye bee's attack. Long Tao paused for a moment before continuing. The smooth-toothed elephant lizard is already a gold 6/flawless Fey. A gold-eye Fey that can directly cause such severe damage to the smooth-toothed elephant lizard can only be a legend Fey. As for that little blue bird that hasn't made a move yet, I can't determine its quality just by looking at it, but it can't be that low. Long Tao's words made Fong Duo blurt out. Fuck. Black is a Radiance coin warrior, right? Baidu, read the latest chapter of Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Book House for free. Chapter 203. From Long Tao's analysis, Fong Duo seemed to understand something. Black's phase grades were not high, but their quality was terrifyingly high. This meant that Black must be a member of the younger generation. Otherwise, Black's phase grades would not be so low. However, Fong Duo could not help but feel very doubtful. According to Long Tao's analysis, Black had at least 2 bronze/epic phase. Since Black could control gold phase, it meant that he was at least a C-rank spirit chi professional. However, he clearly had 2 high-quality bronze phase, but he did not upgrade them. Was he waiting for willpower runes? Black's appetite was a little too big when he was waiting for 2 phase to reach legend and 2 willpower runes at once. Boss, what do you think about pulling Black into our team? Upon hearing that, Long Tao looked at Fong Duo as though he was a fool. Our team has 4 power offense-type spirit chi professionals and lacks a healer. Black has not shown his healing ability until now. Are you going to let Black join our team, and the 5 of us will go up together? Fong Duo scratched his head. In terms of strength, Black's current performance was not enough to join the Dragon Gate Guild Club's main team. However, it was more than enough to join the reserve team. However, Black's combat style and contracted phase were not compatible with the Dragon Gate Guild Club. In order to match Long Tao's Sea King Chalk Mosasaur, most of the Dragon Gate Guild Club's members had water-type phase. Therefore, if Black entered the Dragon Gate Guild Club's main team, it would not be of any substantial help to the team. However, it was rumored that Black had a silver/fantasy breed healing type Fae that could even regrow severed limbs. However, Fong Duo did not dare to say this to Long Tao. After all, Fong Duo had not seen Black use the ability to regrow severed limbs. It was better to see it with one's own eyes. If he said it rashly and could not get any confirmation, it would be equivalent to saying it in vain and making a fool of himself. Boss, Chen Hongfeng should have won this match. Even if the smooth-toothed elephant lizard is severely injured, its exclusive skill, Burning Blood Strike, is enough to kill Black instantly. Before Fong Duo could finish speaking, the scene in Chen Hongfeng's live streaming room was like a slap to his face. It made Fong Duo speechless. After receiving Chen Hongfeng's order, the smooth-toothed elephant lizard did not care about its heavily injured body at all. Under the activation of the exclusive skill, Burning Blood Strike, the smooth-toothed elephant lizard's heart was like a drum, emitting a violent dong sound. The red thorn plants near the smooth-toothed elephant lizard were shaking a little. All the energy in the smooth-toothed elephant lizard's body gathered in its heart amidst the thunderous pumping of blood. The smooth-toothed elephant lizard opened its mouth and spat out a dark red and purple energy beam wrapped in the smooth-toothed elephant lizard's energy. The dark red-purple energy beam shot straight at Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan had been guarding against the smooth-toothed elephant lizard using its exclusive skill, Burning Blood Strike. However, he did not expect the smooth-toothed elephant lizard to release its exclusive skill, Burning Blood Strike, despite the fact that the acid corrosion queen bee had inflicted such injuries on it. The timing was all thanks to Chen Hongfeng's battle sense, which had been cultivated through tens of thousands of Star Tower battles. It could even be said that when the huge-tailed swamp lizard had been crippled, Chen Hongfeng had already made up his mind to rely on killing Black to win. The dark red-purple energy beam was getting closer and closer to Lin Yuan, so fast that he could not react in time. At that moment, Chimey instinctively released scattered light and faced the smooth-toothed elephant lizard's dark red-purple energy beam. When Chimey's petite body, wrapped in scattered light, collided with the dark red-purple energy beam, it was annihilated. The dark red-purple energy beam struck and annihilated it. However, the dark reddish-purple energy beam had also become much weaker because of Chimey's self-sacrificial protection. When Lin Yuan saw Chimey dissipate after being struck by the dark red-purple energy beam, his eyes instantly turned blood red. The moment Chimey rushed up to resist, Red Thorn had already waved its vines and wrapped Lin Yuan up. At the same time, the huge spherical mouth of Relinquish blocked in front of Lin Yuan. The weakened dark red-purple energy beam still blasted through the mouth of Relinquish. Finally, it shot straight into Lin Yuan's location, which was protected by the vines. Upon seeing this scene, Chen Hongfeng let out a sigh of relief. The smooth-toothed elephant lizard had also entered a near-death state because of this burning blood strike and fell to the ground. However, Chen Hongfeng's eyes suddenly shrank because he had not won the star web duel. That meant that Black was not dead. Chen Hongfeng could see the vines twisting continuously through the huge hole that was blasted open in the mouth of Relinquish. Finally, the layer of thorny vines was released, and Black was covering his left shoulder with his hand. Although his arm had not exploded into pieces under the energy beam's attack, the 10-centimeter diameter hole in his shoulder was constantly bleeding. However, the wound on his shoulder was at least 10 centimeters in diameter, and fresh blood was flowing out of it. All of this happened in a flash, and Chen Hongfeng's decisiveness made Lin Yuan unable to react. All of this happened in a flash, and Chen Hongfeng's decisiveness made Lin Yuan unable to react. If not for Chimey, he would have lost this Star Web Celestial Stairway promotion duel. It had to be said that these nearly 100 duels had given Chimey a strong sense of combat. If Chimey had used the radiant body in that split second, it would have needed to absorb enough sunlight. Perhaps during the time Chimey absorbed sunlight, the energy beam would have blasted Lin Yuan into nothingness. Therefore, Chimey relied on its instinctive reaction and crashed into the dark red-purple energy beam. It used its flesh and blood to exchange for Lin Yuan's hope of survival. In the previous battles in the Star Tower, even though Chimey and Red Thorn had been injured, they had never been blasted to death. Chimey's death made his heart feel as though it had been ruthlessly twisted by a sharp knife. This was the Star Web Tower, and even if Chimey was killed in the Star Web Tower duel, it would not be affected in the slightest. However, this made him think, what if this was outside? What should I do in such a situation? Although he had his path protector, the mother of Bloodbath, and such a thing would not happen outside, he felt an invisible sense of oppression. However, Lin Yuan felt an invisible sense of oppression that came from his strength. Although Lin Yuan had lived 2 lifetimes, he had a winning streak in the Star Web Tower. He could not help but feel that his strength had been greatly improved and that he was no longer a weakling. However, after today's battle, he knew that he needed to improve too much. Chimey subconsciously rushed toward the dark red energy beam with hints of purple and instinctively used the mouth of Relinquish and vines to protect themselves. This made Lin Yuan feel an unprecedented sense of responsibility. His Fae's trust and reliance on him, as well as its unhesitating trust, gave him no reason not to become stronger and protect his Fae. The mouth of Relinquish was the core of Red Thorn, and now that the mouth of Relinquish had a huge hole that was the size of a bucket, Red Thorn couldn't hold on any longer. Baidu, read the latest chapter of Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Bookhouse for free. Chapter 204. Red Thorn was connected to his bloodline, and he could feel Red Thorn's life force rapidly depleting. At that moment, Lin Yuan gave Red Thorn a final order. That was to let Red Thorn use its thorny vines to rub against the wound on his shoulder that had been blasted open. The smooth-toothed elephant lizard's body contained a mucus that made it impossible to stop bleeding. The mucus effect was naturally included in this exclusive skill, Burning Blood Strike. He could feel that the blood flowing out of his body was making his body colder and colder, causing his consciousness to become unclear. After receiving Lin Yuan's order, Red Thorn had an instinctive rejection of it. Red Thorn's reliance on Lin Yuan made it unwilling to hurt Lin Yuan, but its blood-related loyalty also made it faithfully carry out Lin Yuan's orders. Red Thorn's thorny vines were stirring around Lin Yuan's shoulder wound. The flesh that was stuck to the dark red with a hint of purple energy was directly scraped off. This kind of pain instantly made his mind abnormally clear, and fine cold sweat flowed out of his pores due to the pain. After Red Thorn completed Lin Yuan's last command, its life force was finally exhausted. The moment Red Thorn died, the beautiful sea of flowers instantly withered. In the sea of withered flowers, the giant-tailed swamp lizard's torn body could be seen. When the acid corrosion queen bee attacked the smooth-toothed elephant lizard, Red Thorn's elite ramets also extended their vines into the swamp, driving the huge-tailed swamp lizard out of the swamp and tearing it into pieces in the sea of flowers. Just as Lin Yuan had gotten red thorn's vines to clean his wounds, which had been tainted by the dark red and purple energy beams, red thorn's vines suddenly appeared. This scene shocked many viewers in Chen Hongfeng's live streaming channel. As the sea of flowers withered in an instant, the silver-masked figure covered his wound and stood proudly in the sea of flowers that withered in an instant. In that instant, it seemed to become an eternity. Chen Hongfeng looked at Lin Yuan and actually felt that his throat was a little dry. Chen Hongfeng looked at Lin Yuan and said very seriously, "Yes. Black, it's your loss to suffer such a heavy injury. Even if you didn't die just now, you'll die within a minute with your current blood loss. Your gold bee had exhausted all its strength when it attacked my smooth-toothed elephant lizard just now. Although my smooth-toothed elephant lizard is on the verge of death, it's not dead yet." Lin Yuan now felt that when he had let the acid corrosion queen bee attack the smooth-toothed elephant lizard, it had been a different story. He wanted the acid corrosion queen bee to catch the smooth-toothed elephant lizard off guard and severely injure or even kill it. Therefore, the acid corrosion queen bee didn't hold back at all. When the acid corrosion queen bee used wing stealth to avoid the smooth-toothed elephant lizard's tail whip, it had already lost all its strength. At this moment, Chen Hongfeng heard a cold voice. "Did you forget that I am a healing-type spirit qi professional?" As he spoke, he waved his hand and summoned the silver-fantasy-eye jasmine lily. He was somewhat glad that these 100 duels of tower climbing had also allowed his combat intuition to improve considerably. At that time, his subconscious action of using spirit injection on himself had become the key to his comeback. The silver-fantasy-eye jasmine lily emitted several emerald green light spots. These emerald green light spots melted into his wound. Under the watchful eyes of Chen Hongfeng's live streaming room, Lin Yuan's shoulder, which had a diameter of 10 centimeters from the explosion, was actually healing bit by bit under the emerald green light spots. Through the torn clothes on his shoulder, one could even see the healthy honey-colored skin that was as good as before. His injury finally recovered completely when the last trace of spiritual power in his body was exhausted. At that moment, the smooth-toothed elephant lizard, which was on the verge of death, suddenly let out a mournful cry. The mournful cries came one after another as if it was suffering from some heart-wrenching torture. Not long after, a child bee that was only the size of a thumb and looked very similar to the acid corrosion queen bee emerged from the smooth-toothed elephant lizard's body. However, unlike the acid corrosion queen bee, this child bee did not have 2 stingers but only 1 stinger. The child bee that flew out of the smooth-toothed elephant lizard's body was around silver V/elite. Logically speaking, this silver V/elite sub-bee could win the duel if it went to kill Chen Hongfeng or the smooth-toothed elephant lizard that only had 1 breath left. However, this silver V/elite wasp did not attack the smooth-toothed elephant lizard or Chen Hongfeng, who was on its last breath. Instead, it flew to the side of the acid corrosion queen bee and put its soft abdomen to the acid corrosion queen bee's mouth. The acid corrosion queen bee gobbled up the child bee hatched from the parasitic pupae it had just laid in the smooth-toothed elephant lizard's body. Logically speaking, the acid corrosion queen bee should have returned to Red Thorn's mouth of relinquished hive to devour the acid-swallowing larvae to quickly recover its energy. However, the smooth-toothed elephant lizard's exclusive skill, Burning Blood Strike, was too sudden and pierced through Red Thorn's mouth of relinquish. This caused the acid corrosion queen bee to lose the acid-swallowing larvae in the hive and no longer have the endurance. However, the child bee hatched from the parasitic pupae once again allowed the acid corrosion queen bee's energy to recover a little. Lin Yuan did not stop the acid corrosion queen bee's behavior because this cruel, greedy, selfish, and tyrannical behavior was the instinct engraved in the acid corrosion queen bee's genes. Lin Yuan and Red Thorn were connected by blood, and Red Thorn had absorbed Lin Yuan's blood to grow. To put it bluntly, Red Thorn carried Lin Yuan's scent. Therefore, when Red Thorn died, the acid corrosion queen bee treated Lin Yuan as Red Thorn. Lin Yuan could feel the despair and sadness of the acid corrosion queen bee at the moment of Red Thorn's death. If the acid corrosion queen bee was cruel to her offspring, then her love for Red Thorn would be as deep. Lin Yuan did not refuse the acid corrosion queen bee's request to personally avenge Red Thorn. The acid corrosion queen bee flapped its wings and left an afterimage. It killed Chen Hongfeng, who was in a state of shock, with one stinger. After killing Chen Hongfeng, Red Thorn used its exclusive skill, two-hit kill, on the smooth-toothed elephant lizard that was on its last breath. This time, the acid corrosion queen bee used the two-hit kill on the smooth-toothed elephant lizard's head. The smooth-toothed elephant lizard's head was corroded by the acid. At that moment, Lin Yuan had won the most miserable battle he had ever fought. Even in Millstone Town, Lin Yuan had not been in such a sorry state. The acid corrosion queen bee flapped its wings and landed on Lin Yuan's shoulder. Everyone was shocked by the duel in front of them for a long time. They looked at the silver-masked figure and could not say a word. They could not help but feel an urge to shout in their hearts. Was this battle really at the level of the promotion duel? Even a Celestial Stairway 5-star battle would not be as exciting as this. Moreover, this battle had truly confirmed the rumor that Black had a silver/fantasy breed healing type fae. Although they had not seen the severed limb rebirth today, the big hole in the shoulder had completely healed, which was not inferior to the shock of the severed limb rebirth. The live streaming room was silent for a long time. It was unknown who posted the words, "Black, awesome," on the bullet screen. Then, countless, "Black, awesome," bullet screens covered the live streaming room's screen in snow white. These countless, "Black, awesome," seemed to be witnessing the tragic duel that had just happened. It also seemed to be celebrating Black's victory. In short, Black, awesome, was the first to read the latest chapter of Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Bookhouse for free. Chapter 205. For the past few months, since the appearance of Black. Other than Black's achievements and talents, which had always been discussed and worshipped, Black's age had also been the focus of discussion. Black had always been wearing a mask and had never shown her true face to anyone. Everything was shrouded in a layer of fog, and people could not help but want to explore. Although Black had a faint youthful aura. However, this faint youthful aura did not allow Black to be identified as a member of the Radiance Federation's younger generation. But today, in Chen Hongfeng's live stream, countless viewers were looking at the hole in Black's clothes. Looking at the young man's healthy, honey-colored skin, and hearing Black's cold and magnetic voice, Lin Sanju could not help but gasp. Although this could not prove Black's specific age, it could prove that Black was indeed a teenager. Chen Hongfeng's live stream was filled with cheers for Black's name. They witnessed the determined young man who was still standing tall and straight after a bitter battle. This resolute young man stood there with the temperament of a towering poplar. Through the silver mask, he saw the determination in the youth's eyes. In Chen Hongfeng's live broadcast room, the Black, awesome, formation was finally broken by the other bullet screens. Water-dripping stone pierces, Black, from today onwards, I'm your fan. Coffee otaku, I can't take it anymore. The soul in my body is burning. I want to climb the tower too. I must climb from the 58th floor to the 60th floor today. Wind and rain parting sorrow, Ah Feng didn't lose unjustly. If Ah Feng hadn't been decisive and let the smooth-toothed elephant lizard use its exclusive skill, blood-burning strike, Feng would have lost even more miserably. A small goal in 5 years, my wife cut me a silver watermelon. I wanted to eat it and watch the duel, but I only took a bite and didn't have the time to take a second bite. It was too exciting. Fluffy little hamster, is there anyone who wants to say that the blue flash purple butterfly is beautiful? At that moment, in the meeting room of the Dragon Gate Guild Club, Long Tao said seriously as he looked at Black, who was standing there proudly. Fang Duo, do you have anything to say about this duel? Fang Duo said subconsciously. Boss, Black really has a fantasy breed fae. It's a little too shocking to completely heal a shoulder with a huge hole. Long Tao frowned as if he was thinking about something. I'm not talking about Black's healing type Fae. Didn't you feel that something was wrong during the duel earlier? Fong Duo recalled the live broadcast that he had just seen, and his pupils suddenly shrank. Boss, where did Black get the spiritual power to use the healing type Fae at the end? Long Tao's frown deepened. From the looks of this battle, Little Fong and Black Dan aren't too far apart in terms of strength. In addition to scheming, the two of them are also competing in the control of their own spiritual power. The sea of flowers produced by Black's strange plant and the blue flash purple butterfly are constantly releasing silent scale powder. Both of them are consuming spiritual power. When that buffet dealt a set of high explosive damage, Black's spiritual power must have been depleted. When Black commanded the buffet to use a killer move on the smooth-toothed elephant lizard, its goal was to directly cripple the smooth-toothed elephant rhinoceros. Therefore, reserving spiritual power is unwise. This is the first point. Secondly, if Black still had spiritual power, when the smooth-toothed elephant lizard used the blood-burning strike, that strange plant beside Black could have produced a few child rabbits to block the energy beam caused by the blood-burning strike. However, Black didn't. Long Tao analyzed carefully as he spoke. This was actually what Long Tao didn't understand about this duel. In a duel between two spirit chi professionals, many reactions relied on instinctive subconscious movements. It was just like how humans would instinctively avoid danger. When encountering strong light, they would instinctively blink, and when their hands were scalded, they would instinctively withdraw. Long Tao did not think that there would be anyone who would change their instincts as a living creature in the face of danger. Therefore, Black must have had no spiritual power at that time, but it had summoned a healing type Fae to completely heal itself. This should have consumed a lot of spiritual power. Fong Duo listened to Long Tao's analysis and subconsciously said, could it be that silver/fantasy breed Fae has some special exclusive skill? Or is this silver/fantasy breed healing type Fae a source type life form? Or is this silver/fantasy breed healing type Fae a source type life form? A source type life form's healing method is different from ordinary Faes? Fong Duo didn't think about other aspects, let alone that Black had another Fae that could restore its spiritual power. Judging from this duel alone, Black had revealed that he had contracted 5 Faes. Such a number of Faes was already a huge burden for the younger generation. As the Radiance 100 sequence number 43, Fong Duo had only contracted 3 Faes. One of the 3 Faes didn't seem to have been nurtured with any resources. Even the Radiance 100 sequence number 3, Long Tao, had only contracted 4 Faes. The Platinum X/Fantasy 3 Sea King Chalk Mosasaurus was the main one, and 2 Platinum V/Fantasy I Deep Blue Dragon Jellyfish were the supplementary ones. There was also a Platinum 6/Epic Shark Devouring Dragon that could be used with the Platinum X/Fantasy 3 Sea King Chalk Mosasaurus exclusive skill, Extreme Sea. Long Tao had only nurtured 4 Faes, and Black had nurtured 1 more than Long Tao. Therefore, Fong Duo could not imagine that Black had a 6th Fae. Long Tao shook his head after hearing Fong Duo's guess. He still felt that something was wrong. Call Little Fong off Star Web and get him to make a copy of the video of his battle with Black. I'll take a closer look. Also, get in touch with Black and see if he has the intention to join our Dragon Gate Guild Club. Fong Duo asked in surprise. Boss, do you want Black to join our team? Long Tao shook his head and then nodded. Let's get in touch with them first. You'll handle this matter. Long Tao's words were very serious, and Fong Duo immediately became serious. Fong Duo knew that Long Tao had acknowledged Black through the duel and intended to let Black join the Dragon Gate Guild Club's main team. At this time, Fong Duo suddenly heard Long Tao speak again. Give Black a promise. If he can integrate into our team after a month, then our team can sign him. Fong Duo replied immediately. I'll go to the Star Web now and contact Black. The Dragon Gate Guild Club was the 3rd place team last year and is ranked 3rd among the 16 A-grade guild clubs. If there had been a healer in the team last year's S tournament, the Dragon Gate Guild Club would have had the hope of becoming the champion. Now, the 4 members of the Dragon Gate Guild Club's main team were all Radiant's 100 sequence members. It could be said to be an all-star lineup. Therefore, in Fong Duoduo's opinion, as long as Black was not stupid, there was no reason for him to reject. However, when Fong Duoduo went to the Star Web and was prepared to send a message to Black in the Dragon Gate Guild Club's name, he did not feel good at all. He looked at the Star Web system's notification and saw that Black had refused to accept any messages. Fong Duoduo looked as though he had eaten 30 bitter gourds. Why the hell did I pick up Long Tao's words and accept this mission? Black refused to accept any messages, which meant that he did not even have a chance to have a private chat. Fong Duoduo had made countless guesses. For example, when Black received the news, he would immediately jump in joy and come to the Dragon Gate Guild Club to participate in the interview on the same day. Or, when Black received his invitation, he would put forward some conditions, and Fong Duoduo had even thought of how to reply. However, Fong Duoduo had never expected such a situation to occur. This was simply dying before achieving success. Come on. Fong Duoduo could not help but complain. Long Tao is really a scam. No, Black is a scam. That's not right either. Long Tao and Black are scams. Baidu read the latest chapter of the Imperial Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Book House for free. You're tuning into the Biyao's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.